And we are live. It's a bit weird doing this in mic here. It feels like I've got a dad watching over my shoulder. Welcome to Dash 28 live stream. This is the round 5, really the final round of Virtually Vanguard. We have Lewis Serrett versus Ezekiel, and I'm not sure I was supposed to say his surname or not because he keeps changing it and hiding it. So I'm just going to say Ezekiel because I know some people don't always like the names being shared.
I've just been saying Ezekiel from Argentina.
Yes,
there we are. I put his name in. Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. Joining me today, we have Brinson, Ashley, and Thomas. Mike is just sticking in just to say hello and then disappearing back to TO duties. How's it been going, Mike?
I think it's been going pretty well for a virtual GT. I've only had the same sorts of problems that you would normally have at an in-person GT, and I haven't really had any more of them than normal. You know, there's always one table that takes too long to finish, and one person that's a little late getting back from lunch, and whatever tournament management software you use will decide to throw some random monkey wrench at you in the middle of the tournament, and you'll have to sort it out real quick while everyone's waiting, and your schedule will slip by 15, 20 minutes. But that's kind of all that's happened. Otherwise, everything seems to have gone pretty smoothly, and people are playing Kings of War and hanging out, and yeah, I think it's going pretty well.
Brilliant. So how many numbers did you get in the end?
So I ended up, I had 36 registered, and then I had a couple drops, but that other 34 has gone all the way through the end to the last round. So we got 34 people playing currently, and only about half of them are from the US. And I think only 7 of them are actually from the Mid-Atlantic region, where my event is.
I was really impressed with the amount of. There's a few Brits playing, isn't there? And it's.
I think there's 6 Brits, 5 Spaniards, 2 Argentinians, and 2 Canadians. It's
an interesting time difference. Sat playing at half 1 in the morning for your 3rd game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that like compared to numbers for Vanguard normally?
I'm usually capped around 30 just for space purposes.
Actually bigger.
Usually it's like 14 or 16 people from the Mid-Atlantic, so like twice as many Mid-Atlantic people, and then just a couple of visitors from other regions. And if we're really, really lucky, like one person will come in internationally, but that's about it. So like this is a very different meta from where my event normally is, or where any in-person Kings of War event normally is, I guess.
So we've got on top table, we've got Spain versus Argentina, and the results came out for a Call to Arms today as well. Are we able to say at this point that America's just not very good at Kings of War?
Aren't they not anymore? Have they just been dethroned? Should I go get the Canada banner back out? No, I'm just kidding. We weren't that well.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair to say that other countries definitely have very strong players, and even though the U.S. has the most players, we don't have any sort of monopoly on the best players.
Yeah. You didn't actually have to answer that, by the way. That wasn't a genuine real question.
Yeah, trolley questions get no answer from me.
No, that's fine. I like answering troll questions in like a sincere manner, because I find that it really throws the trolls for a loop when you give them none of that energy back and instead just give them a nice, honest sounding answer, because they're like, no, you're supposed to take the bait. What are you doing?
I think also, though, it is kind of cool to note, though, is like we're talking about UB tournaments. So there are some players that like thrive in that UB environment as well. So that maybe aren't the same players on the tabletop. So
no, definitely.
Right. We have been playing on the clock, though, and each player has 90 minutes per side, including their deployment. And I think we've only had a couple of folks get all the way to dice down, which I think is also normal for an in-person tournament anyway, and it's kept everything on time. So I think that's also been a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, brilliant. Right, so I probably should look at the lists that we've got. So I think we're starting with Ezekiel.
Yeah, so this is a Kingdoms of Men list, so near and dear to my heart. I love the army in general, and I really like his sort of take on it. So he starts with a regiment and a horde of polearm block, the Horde has Indomitable Will. He then moves over to 3 regiments of Militia Mob, which are, super cheap at 70 points, just little tiny nerve and objective holders or chaff. And then he has 5 regiments of Fanatics. One with Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding, one with the Potion of the Caterpillar, one with Fire Oil, one with Blessing of the God, and one with Blood of the All King. So those 5 Fanatics have all been shopping in the sort of bargain aisles of the Magic store department, and grabbing a bunch of these sort of little utility pieces. He then has 1 Siege Artillery and 3 cannons to give some range threat. 2 generals on Winged Beasts, one with Chalice of Wrath and one with Dwarven Ale to give a little sort of waiver protection. Because when you're Kingdoms of Men, you don't get to buy dragons. You buy budget dragons and you buy them in bulk. He then has a Wizard with Conjuring Staff, Bane Chant, and replacing his Fireball with Lightning Bolt. So that Conjurer's Staff should give that little bit more consistency with the all-important Bane Chants. And then at the last minute, he has the Captain. So,
yeah. And we've got a comment here saying this is his bad list. I'm not sure I consider this a bad list. It's definitely a different list.
I think it's just not a list you expect to see how someone plays Kingdoms of Men, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad list.
Yeah, but it's definitely different to what you normally see, isn't it? It's not the meta, put it that way.
It's not the meta, but the thing that we noted when we were doing the pairings live cast on Friday was that this is almost what you would get if you tried to make a goblin list with Kingdoms of Men, right? It's almost like a trash meta, just how many drops, how many units with some artillery support, and a couple of flanking threats can I throw in there. And watching him play the last round, or excuse me, the round before last, you look at this list and you're like, I don't see where the melee punch comes from. But then when he starts moving it, you realize that every charge that he makes is going to be a multi-charge with either 2 units of those berserkers, or that and a general in the flank, or like a militia mob and 2 of the berserkers, or something like that. So like it's a swarm that comes at you.
I mean, the berserkers alone aren't a joke, are they?
No, they're not.
No,
They're actually really good.
They're like
There's also a lot of crushing in this list.
They're like all Kingdoms of Men sort of units, which is you look at them and they're not amazing, but they're extremely efficient.
Okay.
So when you start getting more and more and more of them, they're great. And I think what's interesting is that Kingdoms of Men doesn't have a single list. There's like 5 different versions of it you can build. There's shooting and artillery heavy. There's the big blocks of units. There's these sort of smaller, cheaper multiple medium unit builds. It has so many different facets that can still be explored, which is why I love it as an army. And this is just one of those different explorations.
Brilliant. Right, and then jumping over to Undead again. Similar but different.
Yeah, so I will read his list here. So Lewis is running Undead with Jarvis. So he has Jarvis to start us off. 2 regiments of Soul Reaver infantry, one with Staying Stone and one naked as they come. He has 1, 2, 3 troops of Revenant Cav, surprised. 2 regiments of Revenant Cav, a regiment of Soul Reaver cavalry with the boots striding. 2 regiments of Whites, one with Blade of Slashing and one with Mace of Crushing. He has the Ghoul Gas with Wings of Honey Maze, a Vampire on a Horsey, and 1 Necromancer with Inspiring Talisman and Bane Chant to round it out.
Yeah, nasty list. Lots of attacks there, lots of nerve, lots of fearless.
A lot of I don't wanna.
Yeah. Jarvis is an interesting choice with that one. What did you make of that in your sort of looking through it to start with, Mike?
I don't think we really took much note of Jarvis when we looked over the rest of the list, and we were like, well, he doesn't really need Jarvis. Like it's a cheap, very inspiring source, and it's a good long range surge rather. So we're like, yeah, it synergizes well with everything else. Like Jarvis's tricks don't necessarily like specifically work great with anything. It just seems like, okay, yeah, I can see how that's a pretty good choice for this, given all the other stuff you have. Like this is a very hard hitting list. It's a very flexible list. He's got a lot of tools there. He plays it really well. It's going to be interesting to see whether he can hide all of his tall stuff from all that artillery over the course of the game.
I suppose having Jarvis in there means that you can get away with just having one source of surge, because you can run it and throw it a bit further than you might do if you needed a bit more coverage otherwise.
And you don't really have to move him. You can just leave Jarvis in the back, and you can still surge things from far away or from behind a building or whatever.
But
that was my read on it. Was just, I mean, I don't love Jarvis. I think he's nice in certain situations. I just think he gets very inspiring in a longer Bane chant and surge than he would normally get for 140 points. And we're missing the fact that it means his entire army is good.
So those are good guys now.
So I think Lewis is doing the face turn. He's now a good guy with his brutal, scary undead list. He's the good guy now.
The good vampires.
Yeah,
that's right.
He's no longer the bad guy.
He beat an abyssal army in the last round, so that there you go. There's a classic good versus evil, undead versus demons match, I guess. Lewis
just went and bought all the good stuff.
There's nothing in this list that isn't very, very top tier undead.
It's the I don't know how well it all works together. I mean, it's undead. It all works well together. We sort of know that, but this very much feels like, I'll take 2 of those and 5 of these.
It's the greatest hits of undead plus Jarvis.
Yeah. He did
Jarvis
take white regiments though. That's spicy, right? They're white regiments, not hordes.
The white regiments, not hordes. Yeah, because he's already got all the vampire hammers that he needs, and he's already got Revenant Cav regiments for mobile anvils. So the whites are basically like a support, thick chaff, flanking, like flank surge threat kind of unit, which is a cool way to use them, I think.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Right. Okay. They are currently midway through deployment, so I'll just jump over to deployment and see where they're at. I will just say now we might be having technical issues with Universal Battle. So if it does freeze, I apologize. We can drop back out and back in. But I'm gonna get my excuses in early.
He's full of them. Yeah. Don't worry.
The scenario for this round is going to be pillage. With a full set of tokens.
So it looks like it's those little red spots that I'm seeing, little ones floating around.
So I'm not sure who picked sides or where they went, but the tokens are fairly spread out. There's not. I can't really see any that are closely bunched.
There is that 2 though in the bottom right.
Yeah.
Both in deployment, hey? That's the sort of the only thing that's lacking, I think, from Lewis's list is a cheap zombie drop. But I suppose the Revenant troops are cheap enough out there that you can just leave one at the back and ignore it.
Right. So if I were to look just at where they drop the tokens and guess, I would guess that Ezekiel wanted the bottom side, and that's why he probably put 2 tokens in the corner, because he kind of wants to castle up in a corner and slowly move forward, and not really anything in Lewis's list wants to stay back in the deployment zone. It all wants to go forward and kill. So if I had to guess, I would guess that Ezekiel dropped a lot of tokens in deployment zones, kind of hedging his bet, putting 2 in one and 1 in the other, and then lost the chance to pick. And Lewis picked the bottom just to deny him those 2 tokens and make him work for them. And he's just going to go for the ones in the middle.
One person deploys 4 because it's 7 tokens, right? One person deploys 3?
That's right.
Yeah, so I could see it, if he lost a turn and he put 1, 2, 3 in the deployment zones. Right. Didn't get to pick a 4th, because maybe if he had picked the 4th, he would have put another one and balanced out both deployment zones.
Right.
So I can't spot the 7th.
Where's number 7?
Yeah.
Where's number 7? I see 3 in the 4 down the right-hand side. I see 2 on the left.
Maybe under a unit?
Must be.
In the middle somewhere? Oh, are they counting the middle? Because there's a crown there chilling. That's not the middle, though.
No, I think that's one of Luis's unit markers. I think it's probably under one of the.
Yeah, that's a Strider Rev Cav, so I'm guessing that's the Strider Boots crown.
Yeah. That's what he used them for last game.
So going into this round, Lewis is on 4 wins, Ezekiel's on 3 wins and a draw.
And a draw, that's correct.
But I think looking at the scoring system, I think both players still need a win. I'm not sure. It had to be a very good draw from Lewis to still have the win without having
that's correct.
third place jump him, I think.
Yeah, because Ray Shields is at 87 points, which is only 2 points behind Ezekiel, and 9 points behind Luis. And we are doing a slight variation on Northern Kings, so the games are worth 25. Top right on the militia. Oh, maybe they did put 4 in the deployment.
Maybe there was 4 and 2 and 2 on each side then.
Okay, yeah, it might be under the turn counter. So we're doing Northern Kings, where the objectives are each worth +1 victory point up to 5. But I'm only doing 3 points for attrition, and the other 2 points are a secret bonus objective that each player picks off the list that I give them, and they keep that secret, and they try to accomplish that over the course of the match. So we won't actually know what their 2-point objective is that they're going for. I think there's a list of like 8 of them, and you can pick each one only once. So you have some options, but you can't just bring an army tune to do one and then pick that one every time. You kind of have to look at the matchup and look at the scenario and try to pick which one you think you can easily do while you're doing everything else you need to do to win.
Can you give me an example of one of them?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull it up real quick. So
We should have read the pack, shouldn't we?
That's okay.
Yeah, I totally read the tournament pack and I'm well informed before I come on live stream.
Sure.
Totally.
One is called Hamstring. And for Hamstring, you have to rout all enemy units with a movement value greater than 7. You can only select that objective if your opponent begins the game with at least 1 unit with a movement value greater than 7. So, right, you pick that if there's if you're playing something that only has like one thing that's fast and flies, and you know you're going to have to deal with it and kill it anyway. Or there's one called Lookout Sir, because I'm not very creative with names. I just go with old school names. And that's have more sources of inspiring still alive than your opponent at the end of the game. You can only select this objective if your opponent begins the game with at least 1 source of inspiring. So if you're playing Night Stalkers, you can't pick that. But if you bring like 3 inspiring sources and you run into someone that's only
if you're playing Basilians, pick that one.
Right, exactly. And you're like, okay, you have 2 inspiring sources, and one of them is like a guy on a horse that's going to come out and fight. Great, I'll pick that because I'm probably going to try to kill one of them anyway.
Anyways, or like your inspiring source is a dragon, I'm probably going to fight it anyways. Like,
right,
not necessarily something that's going to hide behind your enemy lines all game.
Right, and I've kept track of these at least for the 2 in-person tournaments in terms of how often people pick each one and what the game results are, and I aim for them being not automatic for the game winner, but not impossible for the game loser. So I aim for like a 80% success rate on those objectives for winners, and like a 20 to 30% success rate for people that don't win. And they come in pretty close to that. I've tuned them a little bit. There were a couple that underperformed for people that don't win, so I dropped one and replaced it, and then changed another one up to make it a little easier. I'm not going through the trouble of collecting data on that this year, so I won't know whether that's worked or not. But people seem to be enjoying playing with them, at least.
That's interesting. Kind of adds another little like dimension to your game.
Yeah, it adds some asymmetry, little mystery, because sometimes people make decisions during the game, and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't really seem optimal for the scenario we're playing. And then you find out 3 turns later that they had to go do that because they wanted those 2 extra points.
And 2 points is worth it in a lot of cases, right? Like that makes a difference between a 23 or a 25 in some cases, or, you know, those 2 points could cost you.
It could. Yeah, the ladder's pretty close in a lot of places. Only
probably not in the part of the ladder I would be in. It wouldn't matter. But
after 5 rounds, you do tend to get quite close play, don't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to see 3rd place jump these 2. I like when top table, winner of top table or result of top table wins the tournament. That's just my personal, it's, you always feel a little bad when the top table dukes it out and then someone from a lower table hops over them and it's like,
but who's on table 2 right now?
Ratio,
especially
And who? Sorry, Ray
Especially
Shields and... Sorry, Mike, is Ray Shields and who?
Justin Berg.
Oh, Justin Berg. Okay.
So that's a Canada versus Northeast US.
And
South of
Ezekiel
Canada. That's Southern Canada.
Drew against Ray, didn't he? And then beat Justin in round 1.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't want to see one of them necessarily. Maybe Ray, it's okay because he drew him, but it's like, I always hate to see the situation where you beat someone in an earlier round and they jump you last round because of it's just, you're like, but I beat you. Like,
but I did the thing.
That's okay though. Usually,
but also, like,
I mean,
go Canada. But I like though that this match is like, we're talking about like an American tournament being Vanguard, and then having like 2 international players on the top table is really fun. I also wonder if like their whole commentary is in like Spanish. Next, a little extra flavor.
So apparently, Lewis is going to go see a cat.
I don't know what that's slang for in Spanish. Yeah, I would bet that if I jumped into their Discord channel, that they're probably speaking Spanish to each other. I would not be surprised. So one of the things that I relied on a lot for running this event is Discord. I set up a Discord server like just for this event. And if anybody's thinking about trying to run one of these things on a normal GT schedule, I would highly recommend using something like Discord because you've got everyone in one channel. It's easy to announce things. You have a bunch of voice channels for each table, so nobody has to figure out how to get in touch with their opponent. They just, when they see the pairings, they see what table they're on and they go to the voice channel for that table, and there you go. Like, everybody just sort of quickly and easily finds each other. And it's easy to have just one open table is like the TO table, and when somebody needs to ask me a question, they just jump into that and ask me and then jump back to their game. So it's been it's been really useful.
I also found that like it was a lot of fun looking through the chat columns of Discord this morning, because Brindley's been playing, and I like talked to all the very hungover boys this morning, and I don't know what the heck was going on in those chats last night. I was asleep, but I am concerned. Okay, you have set up something that's turned into something very fun. It worked out well, I think.
Yeah.
Well, so
it's nice to see the social side of it carry on as well.
Yeah, it was very good to see. I kind of expected people to, end up like, oh, well, I'm at home, I'm going to go to bed or whatever, and like things to die out. But it does not seem that happened. So
no, I scheduled so we normally do a beer tasting on Saturday night at Vanguard GT, and it's a bring your favorite local beer tasting. So everybody brings their favorite thing from wherever they live, and then we share. And I was like, well, I can't do that. So instead, I went to a local whiskey distillery here in Fredericksburg, a few miles from my house, and we bought like several bottles of a single barrel bourbon that they make, and we actually filled little 100 milliliter bottles and mailed them to everyone as part of a care package, along with some glasses and some coffee and some Advil and some.
I saw that. Did you mail that internationally as well?
We sent them to everybody who signed up by the 12th. So yeah, the British ones might all still be in the mail. I know the Argentinians.
Canada's still in the mail. Yeah,
Canada's still in the mail. But a lot of people got.
Awesome that is. That really is.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and so then last night we had a whiskey tasting. Everybody that already had theirs, like, we all cracked them open together and sat in one Discord room and sipped and talked about it. And then by the time everybody finished their 100 proof whiskey, people were quite loose and ready to have fun. And people stayed on and chatted for a good long time, and people started posting old pictures they took at tournaments with people who were there that they missed, and so that's probably where all the weird pictures in the chat log came from.
Yeah, my favorite is the one of Jake Cherapika like laying in bed with Alex Chavez and just like cuddling him. They're just chilling.
I wish I'd have known. I've got so many photos of Adam Padley in Disney princess dresses. I could have shared. And a horrific video of him trying to get it on and then off again at 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's the part of the being in person tournaments that I just absolutely miss. I love the social content, and I can do some weird shit that's so much funnier like in person than if I'm at home by myself.
Well, everything gets funnier at 2 a.m. That's just sort of a known fact.
Like at Masters this year, we were like, well, we should have a snowball fight because we're in the Northeast US and we have these Texans with us. Except for there was like no snow, so we ended up having like an ice fight outside the hotel at 3:30 in the morning. Like,
Yeah, because it was all melted and it had been scraped from the parking lot, so it was all filthy snow, and like he didn't
And
want to play.
like icy chunks, and we were just like throwing that around.
So I wanted to not to step away from that talk, but it
to
is
bring us back to
interesting that
something
we're
serious.
well, we're at the point where Ezekiel outdrops Lewis by 4 drops.
Yeah.
It looks like Lewis picked side, so that would be 5 drops, and then he has the captain, so he now gets to move stuff around, which is what I think he just rolled.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah. So you have to redeploy 1, right? Because it was just you rolled a 2.
Yep.
So those that don't know, the captain has the master tactician, and so it is a D3 reroll redeploy. Is it still D3?
D3,
It's
yes.
D3 redeploy.
Yeah, it's still D3. I play the captain. I should know this.
But what's interesting is he has completely stacked this
Oh,
side.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
buff now.
So I think someone in the chat was right. I wouldn't be surprised if that last token is under one of those models and like up in that right-hand corner.
How he's deployed, I would kind of hope so.
Yeah. You might want to turn off the turn counter for a second so people can see that that's where he's put all his artillery as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he does have 4. And this is similar to how he deployed last game against Ray Shields. That sort of little flank denial unit and militia to one side, and then everything else to the other side with the cannons behind it.
And this is one of those tricky things that shows how scary ignores cover artillery is, because you would think the units on that side are protected a little. They have that woods, there's a hill, like they should have a decent approach, but as soon as someone toes into that woods, all that artillery can bomb on them.
Means nothing.
Yeah, so I'll point out the maps are a little different than what a lot of people play on. I made these maps specifically for this tournament after playing at Siege of Augusta. So the fields are actually height 2. They're not height 1 or flat.
Okay.
But
But
Luis has a lot of height 3 stuff, so it kind of doesn't help him.
So Lewis has got first turn, which I think is probably helpful for him here when he's facing so many shots.
So helpful.
So much pew-pews? Ka-choos?
Yeah.
I mean, if not, we could have very much seen that. What is that? A white regiment on the right, in between the wall and the woods, be blown up before they moved.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, yeah.
So just in terms of the clock, Lewis has used. He's on 75 minutes, so he's used 15 minutes of his clock so far. Ezekiel's only used 9 minutes. So nothing massive, and still plenty of time to play a game.
Yeah, these maps were laid out kind of intentionally to discourage people from bringing a lot of war machines. So there's only 2 lists in the tournament that have brought more than 3. This is one of them. Someone else brought 6. And in the last game against Ray Shields, Ray did a really good job of hiding behind terrain, and Ezekiel spent a good 2 or 3 turns just moving his cannons forward out of the corner that he deployed them in, just so he could get some clear shots on them, which was kind of what I was going for with these maps. If you're going to bring a lot of guns and put them on the back line, you probably can't just sit there and blast away all game. You'll have to move and turn and do some other stuff and line up some shots. So I was happy to see that. But they were still pretty effective. Once they got shots, they still did what they wanted to do. You just couldn't necessarily do it in turns 1 and 2 when it might skew the game heavily in your favor.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's Lewis's win condition here? What's he going for to try and win the game?
It looks like he's making a play for those left 2 tokens, own those, and then if he can survive and keep the back 2 or one of the back 2 and contest the other, I think that's the
Is that the plan? Do you think
attempt.
just to survive?
I don't
because his Soul Reavers infantry are sort of they're the units that are going to mince through regiments and hordes in one go. But neither of them are in a particularly strong position to do that at the moment. They're kind of hiding behind height 3 walls.
Yeah, I feel like he's given up some on the right by not putting both Soul Reaver infantry there.
Yeah.
And that he's going to be attempting to delay. Because the issue with Lewis's list is that he cannot grind. And I don't mean that in a bad way. He's built to blow stuff up. But he's looking at 15, 17 on his hammers. And 2 fanatics charging in have a decent chance of wavering that.
There's no drain life, no heal.
Yeah. What do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, I agree with Brinton here. I would also go for the 2 left ones and the 2 bottom right, and see if we can delay as much as possible. Maybe even deny much of the shooting from the artillery, and yeah, see how far he gets with that.
Like, it'll be interesting to see if he even toes into that forest before like turn 4 on the right. He might just sit behind it and
Hey, he can sit behind it all game and just let him come to him and hinder charge everything. So
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of it too. I'm pretty sure there's quite a bit of Ezekiel's that hits on 3s. So even hinder charges, he's still hitting on 4s. It's not as bad, like.
yeah, but his front line isn't the hits on 3s. That front line is polearm blocks.
Pole arms, right?
And,
Oh, that's what he did. Yeah.
and basically the human version of rabble. The what are they? The
Militia.
The militias. So this is a situation where he almost wants those to stay in front, wants them to be slowed down by the field and then the forest and then the wall. And at the last second, like turn 4, turn 5, jam into them to stop them and start killing them. And those berserkers maybe get a charge turn 6, and that's it.
Yep.
yeah, you just have to keep them out of range of that bottom right token that is almost up to the deployment zone. Because as you can easily get more unit strength behind that than Lewis can.
Mhm.
All right, I'm going to drop off now to have lunch and check in on some of the other games. So thanks so much for streaming this for me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
Had
putting together this tournament.
for a few minutes.
And
all
now
done,
the whole
bro.
thing falls apart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Dad's
I think
leaving.
I've not sat on mute yet. That's a bonus.
I haven't set on my microphone yet, so we're good.
There's still time.
All downhill from here. All right, bye.
Watch
Okay,
the
now
cast
that he's
shut
gone.
down. That's okay. I've already upset all of America. What could go wrong?
And Texas.
And Texas, yes. That's
Because those are
separate.
separate entities, yes.
They are.
Okay, Canada still likes you, I think.
For now.
No.
There's still time. Still time on the clocks.
But yeah, it's an interesting, like, I sort of favored Ezekiel's list coming into this. I am interested to see what happens in the first couple turns and what Lewis does, but it looks like right now he's just sort of setting a trap in that bottom right corner.
Yeah.
He's going to hide everything and then just slow it all down. Which makes me, I don't know, it makes me sort of wish that there was a little more supporting the other side, because I do feel like he's just giving up those tokens. He has
But
a token force over there, but that's not going to do jack.
No, how do you guys even feel about the deployment for Lewis? Because I'm not sure if I love the super spread out kind of thing, but what do you guys think?
There's a lot of investment on the left. But
Yeah.
I wonder if that again is the strength of the captain and having the more drops, because the polearm horde was over on the left, and he had a lot of drops left before he.
Yep.
So he could easily have weighed in on one side or the other.
Lewis had to support both, because he could drop essentially 5 regiments of berserkers, which is his real strength, anywhere on
Fanatics.
the board. Basically, fanatics. Yeah, basically by the time Lewis finished deploying, because he's an 18 drop list with the captain. That's tough to deal with when you're undead.
I think it's tough to deal with like a high drop list as it is, but then also to know that like at the last minute they can change whatever they want to change. Like, and he could, you could roll a 5 or a 6 and be moving 3 different units. So even if you didn't outdrop him, the captain is a real threat with that master tactician role.
That being said, on his far left, that rev cab that's on the other side of the building, I mean, they shamble, so they're not that fast, but 8-inch movement They can
Yeah,
start
so-
threatening the middle if they need it. Now they would be opening themselves up to bombs being dropped on them if they get out of the shadow of that tower.
Mhm.
But I can sort of see them just making a line with that tower and coming either straight at it or coming for the backfield.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that like that placement of the tower kind of splits that side of the board in half a little, in
Yep.
that like you really have to go all the way around, and it is a blocker for line of sight.
But I still think this is just going to be Operation Grab and Delay. So he doesn't even care about killing. He just cares about slowing them down. So we'll see.
So Lewis is down to 68 minutes on the clock now, starting from 90.
That's a lot for the beginning of turn one.
And it's still going.
Just
And
kidding.
he's gonna keep it going.
Yeah. I mean,
I am so happy we get to be on one of these streams and talking about clock trouble though.
I know.
After some of the games.
I know. I like
I
when,
really
when
want
people
to
were
talk
like,
about-
"I am no longer streaming games off clock," and we're just
Yeah.
like, "Thank you."
what was that, Thomas? Sorry, sir.
I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I guess my game broke the 4-hour record, and then
I
it
think
was
you were
immediately
4 hours
beat
and
by-
27 minutes out of my life. Okay.
Yeah, but the record only held for like a half an hour until Ben Johnson and the other Trident Realm guy beat it.
Yeah. They really beat it.
And it turned out it wasn't Brenton. We thought it was Brenton that was causing the long game.
Yeah, at the beginning of that day, I had just finished the new longest game at that time that didn't hold very long. But at that point, the 3 longest games we'd ever streamed, I'd been on all of them, and I'm like, is it me? Is my commentary?
I remember when we started and we were like, most games were finishing at like 2 hours and 15 or 2.5. Like we were done like intro, conclusion, everything in like 2.5 hours. And I think we also got like used to that as a norm. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what it was. I think maybe with that last scenario that we were playing, like people weren't as familiar with playing it. And all the games were like 3.5 hours plus.
I think as well, I think it's a mindset between tabletop and Universal Battle, which is going to be a very interesting thing if how people can flip back over to it when they start playing on the tabletop again. Because obviously everyone at the start was more used to playing on the tabletop, playing on clocks. And as the tournaments rolled on, Call to Arms especially, they've got more and more used to, well, I'll take my time, I can do whatever I like. So I'm really glad clocks have come back in.
Yeah.
Go do a big shop.
Yeah.
I think as like if you're a tabletop player first, so like someone that goes to a lot of friends' houses to play, your game store, your tournaments, you're used to playing on the tabletop primarily. Coming to UB, you bring that like, I've got to play fast because I'm going to run out of clock. And that mentality is in your head even when you're not on the clock. And then you do get these groups of people that play UB primarily. So they maybe live in areas where they don't have that option to go out and about and play as many games in person. So for them, they're used to playing those long, drawn out, very, very calculated, let me check every angle games. And so I think it's just like a different mindset of gaming as well.
And there is a...
Sorry.
Go on.
That mindset will be infectious because if I'm used to playing on a tabletop, but when I play against someone on the UB that likes to take their time, I want to do that as well, or else I will lose the game due to missed chances or
exactly.
imprecise movement.
You do end up sort of feeling like you're playing on a clock and they're not, and you're disadvantaged and they're not.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then now let's fast forward a year when we're all allowed to see people again, and we'll see how that all translates. Please let me see people again.
I mean, I think personally, I think it's more to do with someone's natural sort of demeanor and how they're playing. Like, I'm a slow player. I'm a slow player on the tabletop. I'm a slow player on UB. I like clocks because it makes me speed up and it makes me not take that way too long to play a game. But when we play casually in the game store and we're chatting and we're talking through moves and we're doing whatever, we take 3 hours plus to play a 2K point game, but no one's mad about it. We're enjoying it.
That's fine.
But you get in a tournament, you get in a structured time environment. I love the clock, even though I'm, many of my games finish with 2 digits on that clock. I love it because it makes sure it's fair. It makes sure I'm taking the time I get. They get the time they're supposed to have. If I play too slow, I'm punished, not them.
That's why I've always liked clocks, and why I've never quite understood the argument against them, is that it's for the fact that I can take all the time I want, knowing I'm not taking anything away from my opponent.
Because I think there was an event in the past that I played, and there's a legit strategy of like you could just slow play your opponent, and if you're not on an actual clock, you can just take all the time in the world, and your opponent loses because they can't get what they need on turn 5 or 6.
And
now,
I'm not. I don't mean to be.
Sorry, just jump in, but so Ezekiel has taken his first turn and is now moving up aggressively everywhere.
I was kind of surprised.
So
do you think he needs to push that advantage?
Well, if he doesn't, it looks like Lewis is doing Operation Delay, at least for first turn. Nothing on that bottom right corner moved up. No one towed the hills. Everyone else hid behind. Like they're all standing behind this hill like it's a light pole in a cartoon. Like they're all stacked up behind it. And he's pushing forward on the left. So Ezekiel, I think very rightly has said, I need to get all of my stuff pushed forward and engaged as fast as possible so that I can get my real power, which are the fanatics actually attacking things. This field is going to slow the big unit down, and he just doesn't care. He's pushing all of this trash forward because that front line is garbage. He doesn't care about it. It's literally there to just absorb damage. So push it all forward, throw it up. If you expose yourself to some weird little flank charge on one of the trash units, who cares?
Well, I was going to mention that one of the strengths of Ezekiel's list is that there isn't a single unit where a clutch surge flank charge is going to have that much impact. Quite often that's how undead win games, don't they? Is they get that sneaky charge that you couldn't see happening, or the surge in. Well, who cares?
And
do it to any one of these units.
That's why I sort of like this, which is like, good for you. You did something amazing and killed a berserker unit, and there's 4 more. It's just redundancy. Like none of them are that good on their own, but he's got a lot of them. So, while losing a Soul Reaver infantry or losing the cavalry is really big to Lewis's army and game plan, there's no single piece on this board from Ezekiel that matters that much.
Yeah, and I think that makes it a great army to play on the clock, because he can just push everything forward. He doesn't care so much about losing units, but other player has to be really careful when they get in, where they get in, to not get knocked back. And that we can easily see.
That's a really good point, because normally you'd see an army this size and you think it would be a difficult army to play on the clock when you've got so many units and models, but as you say, you don't have to be quite as precious about any one of your units.
No. It's like, hit that one and hit that one. It's fine. That one dies. Well, here's 3 more to come and smack you in the face. So
I've got spares.
Yeah.
He also, interestingly, that hill, no one can really see over it. No one's got those height 4 or height 5 stuff kicking around in that side. So that hill could be sort of a weird blocker for non-surge, but Lewis does have surge, so he can do the old move up onto the hill and then surge the rest of the way into a charge that Ezekiel couldn't make. He's just facing trash right now, so there's no good targets for that sort of thing. It's interesting though, because Ezekiel hasn't given himself a lot of room to slide and multi-charge. Like, I almost feel like right now, if he's where he's at, can Lewis just hit that front line and block out any counter charges by them not being able to slide with that impassable in the middle?
I think because they're regiment bases, I think there's still space for him to get where he wants to be.
But they can also pour all the war engines into the unit that charge. Not even bother with the counter charge.
Yeah.
That's true. He doesn't
even
jump
need on that hill, they're going to go pew pew.
Right. I have a feeling we may have frozen, so I'm going to jump out and back in. We'll find out.
No, I'm not seeing anything different.
Oh, okay.
So many people in here.
Oh, there you go.
He just moved that. He's in the middle of moving
I'm
that.
being paranoid now. Everything been going so professional at this point. I have to. Something has to go wrong.
And then he's got Ezekiel has the bonus of the 2 baby dragons, the good old general on winged beast.
You almost forget they're there.
Bubbies. They're so handy though.
Is that
When I figure out how to play mine properly, you look out, folks.
And then Jarvis is kind of hanging out in the middle there, just below that RevCav troop in the center. And with his surge range, even from that center position, he could move over and still surge the RevCav on the far right if that general tries to do anything too sneaky.
What do you do with your left flank if you're Ezekiel up top there?
About face, present rear. I don't know. I don't know what get the general hopped over the line maybe, and then just start being a pain in the ass.
But then I mean, even if you do that, can't you just turn around and like surge into him?
Where is his necromancer?
It's down right below the cavalry.
Yeah, there's no surge on that left flank.
Oh, so then yeah, jump.
And even with Jarvis's longer surge, it's a tough. He's not in range of it right now.
No, it will be a long old slog.
So, like that, I would personally maybe just keep things honest or slow it down. Push the foot up, hiding behind the hill. Push the general up right behind it, and then just try and jump him. I don't know.
I mean, as it is at the moment, that militia mob and general are holding a lot of points up on that corner. I'd be tempted just to delay as long as possible over there.
Don't forget
Like
the
you
vampires.
don't have to jump the lines this turn. You know, like delay them and then jump later if you have to. And
But you're right, Thomas. There's also the vampire lord on horse over there.
Yeah.
And I wonder what the best option is with him. I wonder if it's to start killing that regiment, or do you actually just run off into the middle?
Chase the
I think
general.
he needs it. Yeah. I think he needs to take the general. If he doesn't take the general, those 2 points are not safe.
Yeah. So yeah, it's holding up a lot.
But that's a good point. Thanks, Thomas. That's a good point around that vampire is perfect to keep the general from doing any hop over shenanigans. He can just turn around and punch him.
Yeah.
So ignore us. So.
But there's just over 300 points holding up. Well, sorry infantry, revenant regiment, revenant troop, and the vampire lord. You know, there's a lot there, isn't there? That's just being an absolute pain.
Then now is not in the middle to the right. That's actually helping deal with that. Just like fucking hordes of humans that are actually regiments, but there's a lot of them over there.
Right, the clock is paused, so I'm guessing I haven't frozen. I'm guessing they've gone somewhere.
Maybe there's a cat.
There might be another cat.
You want to know the scary part for that? Those units holding up points. It's not even 300 points.
Is it not? They're less than 100 of them.
It's 275 for the two of them together.
And that's what they're doing out there. They are holding. Because Thomas is right. You can't take the vampire lord away without risking those 2 tokens. Because that general and that unit, in theory, could do it, or at least hold it for a good few turns.
And then at that point, they're not helping the middle, the right side, which then you take those other tokens. So
Yeah, I think Lewis really has to push that flank and get it solved as soon as possible, so he can get the Vampire Lord and the Revenant camp perhaps into the middle.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because you have to commit something to kill those two. So I think it's the Soul Reaver Infantry. I think the Soul Reaver Infantry's job is to take that far left token. The Revenant Cav can peel off to the right, maybe. But that's the thing. Anything that peels off to the right could be giving a flank to the
The bird.
general. Which 14 attacks on 3 is crushing strength 2 is nothing to sneeze at if it gets a flank.
Thunderous 1 even. So
For the general and wing beast.
I'm not sure where the general is. He CS2 Thunderous 1 or is it just CS2?
CS2 Thunder 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the rules.
All the
Very
rules.
All the
inspiring.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not quite as good as the Rodia one.
The Aralez boy.
Yeah, that has all the rules plus Radiance of Life.
Yeah, well, the thing you sort of notice with Kingdoms of Men is they are just a slightly more generic version of everyone else's list.
Well, they're
Like-
men. Like,
Rordia gets better units, better special stuff.
They are literally the baseline, aren't they? Which everything else is plus or minus from.
Yep.
But I quite like that. I quite like that they've. I do think with Indomitable Will, they gain something that's very unique to them now.
Huge.
I love Indomitable Will.
It's a massive bonus. It goes along with their sort of inspiring, very inspiring kind of motif. And there's something I love about playing an army in this crazy giant fantasy world of just people with like swords and spears and knights. And you're always up against these crazy beasts and monsters, and it just feels good. It feels great to like, this is my pike horde. What am I fighting? Whites. You know?
Oh, look, so one of the cannons is actually out of range. One thing to very rarely actually see something not in range.
Literally, you talk about us like just plain humans, but they still have like mammoths and giants that they have the option to take.
Well, mammoths for me. So I almost always play Kingdoms of Men on the tabletop with my historical like ancients armies. So mammoths for me are just war elephants, which are a real thing. So
Yes. Well, I don't run the mammoths, but my giants, because my Kingdoms of Men is like Lord of the Rings Gondorish. So all my giants are like Ents.
So Lewis has done a really good job here of meaning that all of the war engines can't see a single target. So some of them can see something, but he's not going to get ganged up on. I suppose the problem he's got is that with no drain life, and I think does Jarvis have he's got a small heal, I think, hasn't he?
yeah, he's got the like insultingly small heal. The heal you do when you literally have nothing else to do.
That's not insultingly small. Forces of Nature Druid is insultingly small.
What is it? Heal 2?
Heal 2, yeah. Just I have something. I'm relevant.
I'm helping.
But actually, it always helps because it's always on a defense 6 Earth Elemental, and just it's that one that tips you over the edge. So he got one hit with his first cannon. It's like 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, being forced to spread out the damage, it's not as big a deal because of the lack of heals in the list.
Yeah, this first round, I mean, it's great when you can delete something, but if he puts a few damage on multiple sources, it helps eventually.
Yeah.
It's just like starting, just kind of bringing down what you have to do later in combat.
So it looks like 2 on the D3. No, oh no.
Ugh. Apparently, we were all very like in awe and speechless about these cannon shots.
No, I'm just figuring out what happened there real quick. So it was a
Yeah, because it was one was the mortar, wasn't it, rather than the. So I don't know.
no. It looks like he missed entirely with 2, maybe.
Yeah, I think he missed with one cannon and then got one hit, and then one on the D3 with the other.
Yeah, this is the mortar. The mortar just dunked on him.
The siege artillery, yeah.
Yeah.
4 wounds.
There you go. I'll put this up because I'm sure Ronnie's watching on a Sunday.
Yes. This is where he is. This is what he does. He hangs out and watches us.
Just throw it through Google Translate. That'll be fine, won't it?
Now that Liverpool won the title, there's nothing else to watch, right? Like, football's canceled for the year.
Oh,
so
no. He got them off with a great nerve roll.
Oh my goodness. See, all you need to do is roll great nerve, folks.
Just roll well, yeah.
Just roll well, and this game is easy.
And he was inspired by Jarvis. It just didn't matter.
No.
Yeah, rolled a 12 and then rolled an 11 for nerve. And aren't they like dash 14?
Dash 14, 15?
Yeah, he needed 10 twice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
might have been 9 because it was from the cannon, so it's devastating, but
Correct.
still. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a good roll. So your first.
All right, so Fat's first blood.
Yeah.
Well, I think I also think Lewis is just ignoring his actual first turn.
Yeah.
Which is a bold. It's a bold move. I like the idea of it.
Up first again.
Yeah, because we're going into the top of 2.
Yeah, top of 2.
I'll put the thing up for now just so everyone can see, but I'll take it away again because it does block the
cannon placement.
Yeah.
Yeah. What cannons? I see no cannons.
We need the skinny banners.
Have we got skinny banners?
No.
I was gonna say.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
don't confuse me with things like that. So he's taken the vampire into the regiment, which I think is the right call. There's not really any downside of doing that. You're still free to chase down the general if you need to.
And he's got enough units behind him that general can't fly too far away to escape. And like the vampire will kill that regiment in like 2 turns. So no problem.
So interesting.
He does have to watch some landing zones though.
I mean, he does it because he can go 90 degrees right and fly right away and should be able to get out of range of the vampire. Which is not nothing. It's whether it's worth just abandoning that flank entirely now.
Because there's not like 0 speed over there, so you can abandon if you don't want to totally abandon that flank. I don't think.
It's going to be pretty hard to get away from that vampire because that unit is basically 3 inches deep plus a little bit. So anywhere flying over the top of that, the vampire's probably in range of you.
I think the only way to sort of do it would be to go directly sideways and away 20 inches. But then you're not in a good situation for later. But
yeah, he can do that later.
Yeah,
like he doesn't need to do that this turn.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a turn 2 play that needs to happen.
So this Ghoulghast with wings, he's shuffling around, but I wondered if he'd be more aggressive with him, flying him right over the top and facing down war engines.
Going for a hunt?
Yeah, because it's got a 21 to 23 inch charge range as well, because it still has wild charge. There's one lightning bolt, I think, isn't there? Oh, actually, I'm the captain, so you have to watch out for that landing area. But he could definitely next turn be threatening war engines.
Yeah, the captain's not exactly a no threat. He does 5 attacks on 3's crush too.
Yeah. Is he
He's
still rally
definitely-
as well?
He's rally
Yeah,
1.
he's-
He was rally 2 in second ed, but he's only rally 1 now. But he has less points in third ed.
He got way better.
Yeah.
When they did the clash fix for him, he got great.
Yes. all of a sudden, the captain went from that small little character you never saw to, oh my god, what happened to him?
I do really miss my rally 2 from him, but whatever.
I just like that Kingdoms of Men is so generic that their special character doesn't even get a name.
Well, I quite
He's
like
the captain.
Well, actually, he's El Capitan in this, which I prefer.
As
So-
captain. Your captain, my captain.
So
I do like-
with the Ghoulgast, it is interesting. Like, there's a world where that Ghoulgast was super aggressive, and he's trying to make that move now. He's flown him up into that gap in the middle, top of the board, and is ready to start hunting war machines next turn if that's the right call. Do you think that's the right call? Is that what he should be doing?
I'm not sure. I always get nervous about hunting war machines with individuals because you're only shooting down one, you're potentially not even killing it with something like a Ghoulgast. So you might have to do it again. I just think there's so much unit strength on the board, but I guess there's no harm at the moment because you're not going to be going after anything else. I quite like where he is there because he's stopping that one safe landing zone for the general. So the general can't easily just turn right now and fly 20 because it'll at least be grounded the next turn.
I would have liked to have seen that general setup not straight looking forward, but at an angle, and covering some of that zone.
But was he also protecting himself? Would the vampire have had the distance to go around, like nimble charge, if he didn't stay straight on with the unit?
I don't think so. I think he's probably a bit far back.
A little too far back, right? Just asking.
But I sort of agreed, like, and maybe this is just the voice of Adam Padley and a Princess Stress ringing into my head of like, yes, the war machines are actually a trap. Please invest points into taking them out, please. Because it is that thing where you hit one of them on turn 3, you're shutting that one off, maybe turn 4, maybe, and it's like eventually, on turn 7 they'll all be gone. But what else? I mean, I guess the trade for a Ghoulgast isn't that much. He's not investing a ton. But could that Ghoulgast be stopping a crucial charge in the middle or hitting?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. It's
if he combo charges with the Ghoulgast and something else, that's blowing up a Berserker regiment. So we'll see.
You just really don't want them to be fanatics in third ed, do you?
Berserker is the generic type.
I
Like,
know. I'm just like to bug you.
There are the Dwarven version, the Abyssal Dwarf version, the Night Stalker version. It's like that class of troop. It's like calling them a hammer or an anvil or something else. It's a Berserker. But yes, they are fanatics.
I just like to bug you about it.
So would you class Soul Reavers as Berserkers?
No.
Really, really thick Berserkers.
No, it's the combo for me. I know you're probably just making a joke, but it's the high damage, low armor. Yeah, and Soul Reavers break that by being high damage, high armor.
Well, I suppose they are Berserkers in a lot of sense, aren't they? It's just that they also have the nerve and armor of an elite unit.
They're also not fearless, which is usually a Berserker.
True.
That is true.
So.
Yeah, because I was just imagine Berserkers like ripping their shirts off in anger and then just like punching things in the face. Yeah. I don't know why they have to rip their shirts off for it, but That's what lives in my head, so we're gonna go with that.
Most of them don't seem to be wearing shirts, so.
Yeah, but I think I just want to see the motion.
Yeah.
How they got shirtless, okay?
So I do have a unit of naked berserkers in one of my armies that I don't bring out that often. Which means I've been in the unfortunate position of painting very small genitals.
I have so many. You just set up for so many good jokes that are not appropriate.
I was going to ask, is that related to the unit of berserkers or just a hobby?
No, that's entirely unrelated.
How are we doing at the clock here for Lewis?
So let's have a look. He's down to 54 minutes. So he's used up a good chunk of time already. Yeah. 54 minutes from 90.
I have two sides to that, right? Like 54 minutes should be enough to play a game. Like
oftentimes
that's how much you start with.
I was going to say in the UK it's usually 50.
So it should not be a problem.
No.
But judging by the amount he's used so far, it could be. The other side to that, though, is that I think the decisions are going to get a lot easier turn 5, 6. There's going to be very little left. So we'll see.
He does look at the minute to still be delaying again. And do you think that's the right call? So Ezekiel pushed up aggressively, put himself in positions, he's guarding all those tokens. It doesn't look at the moment like Lewis is going to respond aggressively. It looks like he's effectively going to shuffle and hide again.
Yep.
You know, he might change his mind on that one, but what do we think of that as an idea?
I don't. It's gonna be. I don't know. Because I don't even know what's holding that back token in this world. Like, unless he's really just going for denial. But like, I almost might see him next turn backing up. Like, Ezekiel pushes into the woods and toes that line, and then he backs up and just tries to hold that token against all odds. But good Lord, it does not look friendly.
I mean, there's 7 tokens on the board. There's 2 on the left-hand side, which you would think that Lewis should win that flank. There's only a general and the militia mob over there. And then there's 2 in the bottom right. Is that how you win? Do you just don't play the game? Do you?
Well, that's what I thought Lewis was doing.
Yeah.
But I think also like, but then also he moved that unit.
I don't see.
Go ahead, finish what you're saying, Britton. So I
don't see Ezekiel holding anyone back to take his own, unless he's just going to turn his big bird around and grab one of those and do something. But like my plot for winning this for Lewis is that you take your 2 left, you concede the 3 in the right with the middle in the back. You can test 1. And then, or you hold the back 2, I guess. I think that's it.
But there you go for an insulting level of heal. 3 out of 3 heals.
Oh, Jarvis coming in clutch.
Yeah.
Did they forget about
this? 3 damage.
Did they forget about his ghoul gas there? Do you think?
I think he did. I think. But yeah, I think he might have done back. I think he pressed undo and forgot.
Unless he didn't like it, I don't know. But why wouldn't you?
But he's now in charge range of one of the berserkers. You know, I don't know if he'll take it or not, but he undid a lot of things all at once. And I do wonder if that's something that's been forgotten.
Is it a trap? Does he want the ghoul gas to get charged by berserkers, and then he can counter those berserkers?
The ghoul gas is nope.
Yeah, they're figuring out now. They're putting the ghoul gas back or doing something with the ghoul gas.
Yeah, they've flipped the clock back over, so I think they realised.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
We got you, dude. We're on board. Please move that ghoul gas to do something useful. What he doesn't know is Ezekiel is just letting him burn more clock.
Yes. But this is as far as
He's like,
nice
yeah,
thing about the clock, isn't it? Is that when you're on the clock, you can do this without feeling guilty because it's your own time you're wasting.
Yeah.
So 50 minutes and 27 seconds currently on the clock for Ezekiel. So hello, sir. Right, so we have now flipped over. So 65 minutes for Ezekiel. So he's going into this turn. He's 15 minutes ahead.
Well, the second turn
does.
I always find second and third turns do take the longest, though.
Yeah.
So the ghoul gas moved up to stay out of Captain's charge range, but within range of the
cannon.
The siege artillery, maybe, or cannon or something.
Cannon, that one is, and then the mortar
That's
is.
a cannon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's also in a position where he can threaten or ground the general on the far side, who I think cannot be a throwaway unit. I think that general needs to keep itself alive if possible, because the ability to land on one of those back tokens is going to be huge.
It's huge, yeah. It is when you've so few units on Lewis's side that he's not going to have spare units, is it, to be playing around with.
And that, that's something you mentioned sort of at the beginning, that he's missing those sort of ubiquitous zombie drops.
Yeah.
That just stand around on objectives and do that job.
Well, and I think we've talked about it in Call to Arms, where like some of these scenarios, it doesn't always come down to how much unit strength you have left. It comes down to how many units you have left to actually stand on anything. Like, it's nice if you have 5 units left, but you can only stand on 5 objectives at the most, spread out. It's very hard once you have kind of comes down to how many pieces you have left in play. Which, Ezekiel has a lot of pieces to begin with, so lots of options. So I think it looks like we're seeing Ezekiel to continue to just move up aggressively on that right flank. He's moved 2 of his regiments up onto the hill.
I think it's the right call. I think he's probably spotted that he's going to lose that left flank, and that he has to put some pressure on those tokens in the bottom corner. He also only needs 1 spiky roll to take off 1 or 2 units, and like you say, you can't hold tokens if you've no units left.
Yeah. Like, Ezekiel has a lot more units that he can throw away.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Lewis kind of has to be a little more conservative in what he throws where.
Well, right now you're not like that. So if you try, if you line up, so see if I'm forward. That's what I mean.
So we're seeing shuffling.
Interesting.
It looks like the Berserkers are just setting themselves up out there for next turn, effectively. I'm guessing he's expecting those 2 units in front just to be vaporized.
I mean, and even if they're not, it's something to the either way that goes, I don't think is bad for Ezekiel.
No. It's interesting that these guys have just got a toe on the wall. When you take Revenant Cav down to 5s, they're not really that impressive.
No.
So they shouldn't go through one of those regiments in one go, especially when hindered. I know they can move off it and then be surged on, which might be the strategy.
Yeah. And which unit is that? Soul Reavers that have the crown hanging out on them?
Yes, Soul Reaver Cav with Strider.
Soul Reaver Cav, yeah. Because he had moved those over, because before they had started over on the other side of the wall on the right.
He started just put where these whites are now, didn't they?
Yeah, they started out there and he's moved them that way.
I think he's effectively just hiding from the cannons over there. He's using the Soul Reaver Regiment to block the line of sight.
Yeah, I mean, 1517 isn't exactly something you want to be taking a bunch of cannon fire.
No. Or Berserkers, to be honest. Fanatics, not Berserkers. But I think no. 15 attacks, melee 3, crushing 1. You're not going to need many of them.
He needs a double puts you in waiver zone.
Yeah.
A double charge. That's kind of the math. Is they should be doing about 5 to 6 damage, depending.
Each, right?
You know. Yeah, each.
Yeah, that's
So
super reasonable.
if
That's like if you aim for low average, you're gonna waver, and then if you aim for high average, you're killing them.
Yeah, so that's the thing Lewis has to prevent is double berserks. It looks like he's peeling off a unit. Interesting. Is he suddenly decided to contest the side, or
Potentially. It is only turn. Well, I don't know.
I guess they have time to get there eventually, but I don't think they can stand up against the Revenant Cow or Soul Reavers.
No.
No, the general rule with Kingdoms of Men is that you do not get the ability to redeploy. They're not one of those armies. They're not cool enough. They don't have a lot of nimble units. Their powerful stuff generally comes in either a slow movement or giant footprint that's hard to maneuver.
Yeah.
So you basically you go forward. That's what the army does. It can hold back or it can go forward, but it does not go across.
You may go forward at a slight angle, but not at a full 90 degrees.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, turn 3, he's 12 more inches. Turn 4, he's over by that. It's just, unless he sends other stuff, like, great, you're going to show up there and just get meat ground by a bunch of Soul Reavers. So, don't know.
No. I'm not sure, though.
Maybe they're just going to turn and shuffle the rest of the game back to that token.
Possibly. I suppose where he is there is he's watching that side, isn't he? And then he knows he has enough turns to shuffle over.
It's you just you want him in the fight.
Yeah.
Because you do have Soul Reaver infantry hiding in that back corner that's going to take some killing.
Yeah. And they will go through any one of those units there in one go, including the general on-wing beast, whatever it's called.
The only thing that would take them 2, just for volume of attacks, maybe, is the polearm block. Maybe,
but I they've still got a fairly good go going through in one. Are they 2022 are the polearms, or are they a bit higher?
I got it. I'll look. Horde is 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Indomitable Will.
So it'd be 3s and 2s.
Yep.
It should mince it in one go, but it might not.
I mean, it's 16, 17 hits. 2s. God, 2s feels horrible.
So damage, 14 damage.
Yeah. You need a 7.
Yeah. So it's not guaranteed by any stretch.
God, that feels bad.
Yeah.
that feels bad that regiment of dudes on foot can still take a horde out in one go on odds. But
that's what Defense 3 is also like, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but Defense 4 would be the same because they're crushing 2.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is, Soul Reaver is probably going to be hindered.
Yes, because there's no items on them, from what I can tell, and they are hidden behind the forest.
Yep.
I think when it comes down to it, it's going to come down to just throwing bodies and unit strength at those objectives, rather than actually wanting to kill things. All Ezekiel needs to do is take out one of those bottom right to balance his way.
Yep.
I understand why he brought the militia mobs forward first, almost as screening, but it would have been nice maybe to have them hanging at the back, holding those 2 tokens. Going to have to use expensive, valuable berserkers to do that. Fanatics to do that.
You just have to be within 3, don't you? Of a
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost wonder if a regiment could have sat in between those 2 tokens.
Quite possibly. The Horde definitely could.
The Horde definitely, but I wonder.
I've not done the maths. I don't know if it's possible at an angle. Maybe I think they probably can do it.
Yeah, because that would be nice to pop one little regiment of militia back there and just laugh.
So they're catching up with each other on the clock. It's now 55 minutes to 50.
Yeah, definitely.
But as you say, turns 2 and 3 are usually the longest ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at this rate, it's going to be getting a bit close if it's a tight game going into turn 6 and 7.
Then then you get the panic. Quick, click the button.
Yeah.
Though I mean, also on UB, it's like, okay, so maybe you have to roll like a flank charge, and there's 36 dice to roll or something. At least you can just click 36 and go. Not hold on, let me shake all this dice.
Yeah.
With my baby hands and slowly pick out all the wrong ones and.
Well, that's why you always make people roll it every time.
Mm-hmm.
So have you guys ever played in an online tournament, as in like all taking place in one day?
No. I played in one of the Call to Arms, but I've never played in a day long.
I've played about 4 UB battles total. I'm not a big UB person. I have commentated far more games now than I've ever actually played on UB. I like it as it gives a chance to play Kings of War. But it's really like, if this is all the hobby was, I wouldn't play. Like, I love the table, the chatting, the sort of camaraderie, the being in the same place, cool models, cool armies, good scenery. Like, the whole of the hobby is what I enjoy. The tactical gameplay element of it is only part of it. So it's not that I dislike UB. I think it's an amazing alternative to the tabletop. I just find that when I'm allocating my time for the week, playing a game of UB never seems to make it to the top.
Yeah. Because I think I'll be in contention probably for the most games of Kings of War ever played on Universal Battle. I've played I used it a lot even before lockdown and even then, but I completely agree with you. It will never ever replace tabletop for me. I've always loved it because I tend to play games fairly late in the evening, and I could always get a pickup game. But yeah, the idea of sitting for a full tournament as well doesn't appeal to me.
I think to me too, I don't like the idea of a 1 day or a 2 day. To me, on Universal Battle is something about like finding a spot in my house that I'm comfortable enough to sit for. Like, yesterday they played 3-hour games.
Yeah.
Like, to play for 9 hours. I mean, I guess I just don't have the gamer mentality to pull that off. But
plus, if I played it like a normal tournament, I wouldn't be able to walk. Because the idea of drinking for 9 hours solid while sat in one spot, I'd probably die.
I'm gonna play 1 day next week, the Troll one.
Oh yeah, but Bob and Jans.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I also played the Call to Arms, as you know.
Yeah.
And I really like UB as a substitute, but I'm also quite sure I would never got into the hobby if this was it.
Yeah. Like, I played a lot more UB when we moved out here to Montreal because we lost we have 2 people that we sometimes can manage games with in person, but otherwise, once we moved here, most of our games had to be Universal Battle because we just don't have the players here, the player base. And then we also contend with trying to commute with a language barrier as well.
Yeah.
So.
And I have spent multiple other casts saying how wonderful it is we have as a tool for our community, and it's great. And if I had unlimited time, I would play on it all the time. It just doesn't quite make the cut of things I have to do in each day.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is that I'm working from home right now, so I spend 10 to 11 hours in front of a computer talking to people already. And at the end of that, to sort of say, great, now let's do it again for UB is tough sometimes.
So
Actually,
Cannon just scored 2 hits and then did 8 on the blast.
Who's it hitting?
The Regiment of Whites.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah. Plus devastating. So
You mean isn't it shattering?
shattering. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Other way around.
Sorry, I was like devastated, but isn't that the
Yeah.
rule where if okay,
They could be.
they could be devastated. That is true. They could
I'm going to
still be
pull out
that.
the really hipster answer and say that's what it used to be called during playtesting, and it's just stuck. And they
It looks
changed.
like he's going to make sure that he's dead.
Yeah, he's doubling down. I don't disagree with that actually, because now they're definitely gone.
Yep.
Because they are fearless
And-
15, I think, aren't they? They're not.
Yeah, now take your pot shots at whatever else you need.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're effectively.
Yeah, now they're up to 10. That's reasonable. And then just like pew pew ka-chew at something else and hope for a lucky nerve, or at least just have something that they have to focus heal on.
Or just hit all your cannons again in your.
Yeah.
That also, like, you just have to roll good dice.
No, never mind. 4 threes.
The thing is, though, that's what you sort of love about this army is that it's got a lot of meat. It is a ton of unit strength and a ton of attacks here, plus 4 artillery.
Yeah.
He's not losing a lot of field strength. Like you see
Plus
some of the
2
undead
flying
armies
monsters as well.
Yeah, you see some of the undead armies that invest in the catapults, and you say like, okay, they're missing a hammer, they're missing something on the field, trading for that damage. This is like, I still have 1 million units.
Thank you for the translation. Okay. So is this? They're still shooting, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that nerve? Oh, they're.
Oh.
No, I think they're still gone. They're fearless 14 out there, and it counts as 11.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he actually needed those extra 2 damage.
It was anything but yeah, good. It was the right call.
But Lewis is running out of units.
He is, and this is the thing. It's only turn 2.
And 2 units are gone off the table from those war machines.
Yeah.
So that Soul Reaver infantry and that Soul Reaver cavalry and the Revenant regiment, which are the 3 sort of legitimate like damage dealers on that side. What each of them needs to take out 2 to 3 units without going down.
That's a big ask.
Which is, it's possible.
It is possible. I mean, they've got the attacks to do it. That's not the issue. I suppose it's just don't die doing it.
Yep.
So the Vampire Lord did not a whole lot, and then rolled poor on the nerve as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the regiment only did 1 damage to the Vampire
Oh, sorry, yeah,
Lord.
more around you. Yeah.
Yeah, we've switched. So when they do SW in the chat,
It
it's
means
that they're
switch.
switching their clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
And switch their clocks, yeah.
So they're actually both pretty close on clocks now. So Ezekiel's on 48 minutes. Lewis is just starting this turn on 49. So they're both running close together.
Very balanced on that.
Lewis's turn should get faster and faster.
Yeah.
Because he's running out of models to move.
So he's gone for the cannon. He's annoyed now.
I mean, considering what kind of like, I think that's also a reactionary move, considering you've just lost 2 units to these artillery fires. So.
And he had to go somewhere because that general moved towards the middle and is threatening.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking to back up again. Do you this turn have to go aggressive, or do you carry on with your plan of hide back up?
Good lord.
Everything revolves around those last bottom 2 tokens. I think at this stage you've got to stay the course. I think you have to hide.
I don't like it, but I think so because
I don't like
it. What charges do you? I mean, I sort of wish that the Soul Reaver cavalry was back in that corner with him, and it was just Soul Reavers side by side, holding those.
Just all of these vampires hanging out.
Yes, it would be a quite dramatic scene. Just this like pile of human corpses and these last remaining vampires on top of them fighting off the hordes.
I could just, just biting necks and ripping out throats. Be great.
I have to say, I wasn't sure about Ezekiel's cannon placement to start with, but I do like it. where he's got those three over there, because they're forcing Lewis into a very thin little alleyway there, aren't they?
Well, one of the things I like is there's that gap between, because so much of Lewis's stuff is tall. Now, if Lewis had a shorter army, he would have a great little pocket to hide in behind that field. But there's that gap that goes through the middle, and anything in that gap takes 3 cannons, as we just saw. And that has split his defending forces. He has sort of a left-hand side and a right-hand side, and that's what probably Ezekiel likes, because he can destroy them in detail instead of fighting that whole block.
So the Vampire Lord is rushing off there. I'm guessing from so he was out of charge range of the General on Beast, on Wing Beast. So it looks like he's disengaging and just coming to come join the fight.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Because now the Rev Cav and the other units are enough onto the hill that they can go take care of those.
Now that is some quick players, that.
Yeah. Mike Atkins bringing in our update that the other Spain-Argentina match on table 10 has ended in a draw.
So just to give the update here, it's currently top of 3. I'm not putting the overlay on because it hides the war engines, which are quite important to this game.
So what I will say is, when I was maybe criticizing UB, which I want to be clear, I wasn't. I think it's a great tool. One of the great things about UB is that Mike Atkins' Virginia tournament currently has 2 different tables with Spain-Argentina matches on them.
Yeah.
That's how international it is.
And that is really cool.
That is so cool.
It's quite nice over here in the UK that our call to arms is getting towards being quite international. We have quite a lot of the Spanish players come over, which is brilliant. And we've had quite a few of the Scandinavian countries as well come and join us. But it's brilliant that you can play these players from all over the world that you'd never otherwise get to see. Playing against the Australians is brilliant, because I'm unlikely to fly out to Australia to play games.
Oh, I would love to just travel and play Kings of War. I would just love to just go play tournaments all over the place.
I'm off to Cologne in September if they'll let me in, if we're allowed to fly at that point.
Where are you supposed to be going? Sorry,
Cologne in Germany.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
signing up for that one as well. I'm hoping I can go, but so far doesn't look good.
Oh well, they've confirmed my hotel and my Airbnb. It's just whether or not we're allowed to fly, and apparently we are so far.
So far,
barring lockdowns.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sending
He's
something
coming in.
He's gonna kill himself some militia mob.
I think I like that charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we beat Dan King's audience.
Wow.
I think we were up to more than 18 at one point.
Watching the live stream last I looked, I think we had like 22 people watching.
Yeah.
We have 18 watching the live stream currently and 18 in the actual game room.
Yeah. I wonder if they're not the same, but because at least 2 of them are the players. Yeah.
I hope it's like almost the exact same people watching this and the live stream. They're like, we don't trust them to show us the right thing, so gotta jump in the room.
Well, I did start off with a warning that mine might be behind.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
So he's taking this charge in the flank. He's starting it off like it depends on what else he does, but I could very much see this. You just try and blow that unit up, turn towards the fanatics. He has to commit, Ezekiel has to commit things in to kill those whites.
Yeah.
You charge again with your next thing, whatever that is, and just keep sort of going in one unit at a time, trading and slowing them down.
And also doing this means that he can now move those Soul River cavalry forward and use the hill combined with the regiment to block line of sight. Thinking about back to the Tom v Tom game at Call to Arms, where Tom used the hill and those 2 regiments to block the Revcav horde. It's that similar sort of idea, isn't it, of charging just to get yourself in a position to hide something more valuable.
Yep.
So he's backing up with the Soul River infantry.
Yep.
I'm guessing he'd be out of line of sight of it. I mean, he doesn't care so much really about being charged by the general, but
I just think the thing is, if he only holds one of these, it's a draw.
Yeah.
He's gotta hold and contest. And there's just not a lot of unit strength in that bottom corner to hold or contest two objectives. I think he's in a bad spot in that bottom corner. I think he needed one more unit down there that could punch.
Yeah.
Because then you could fight. Yeah, it's tough.
Sorry, I would like to switch places with the Soul Reavers and the Revenant Cav, because Soul Reavers can stay up and grind one unit each turn, holding the Emperor token, while the Revenant Cav can just stay back and hold the lower token.
True, that's very true. The Soul Reavers can also hide from the cannons to some extent behind Ezekiel's own units.
Yep.
Because they can't be seen over them.
Yep.
You know, I know that's not perfect cover, but it's unlikely to be able to get all three of them onto you. So it looks like on the left, the Soul Reaver Cavalry and the Revenant Cavalry and the Soul Reaver Infantry are also moving across. I think that might be a bit too little too late, really. With that field there, those Soul Reaver Infantry are unlikely to do anything other than hold a token this game.
Yeah, but I think the Revenants can get there.
Yeah, the Rev Cav should be able to.
Next turn, they will be moved into position to charge.
Yes.
Now, it would be funny to see that general cheekily spin right back around and
just block all that off.
No, go get that token. That is right behind the Rev Cav.
Yeah,
and then be like, you need to turn around and deal with me, or
at least contest it. Yeah, because they're equal unit strength to the troop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be probably actually a very good play.
It depends on what this vampire does. But it would be really funny to sort of use that forest as a, like a table in an old comedy movie where you're both chasing around different sides of it.
Yeah. So I think we've got a double charge.
Oh.
So clearly he's just a bit fed up of getting shot at.
Yeah.
And wants us to.
Yeah, so you blow through the unit, and then they just
can he complete the double charge
next turn.
I'm not sure with that angle they can complete it.
Because I think with those units being the total straight line, I don't know if he'll clip the.
Yeah.
I don't think they can.
Nope.
I think that's what he just figured out.
Mm-hmm.
He can charge the God, I keep wanting to call them goblin names. He can charge the rabble, the militia.
They're effectively a better dressed rabble.
Yeah.
So it's like they're going in. Oh no. He's gonna hit the rabble first.
Yep.
Yeah. I like how the rabble, Brenton.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit dodgy, but oh well.
But I think you could just move quite a lot forward and turn 90 and hit the corner.
Good point, actually. Yeah, potentially, yeah, because he doesn't have to turn. He could have gone forward first, couldn't he? Spun, and then, yeah, you're right. Probably could have made it, actually.
So might have been they just decided that was the plan and then moved in like this.
And not play
what
the
you're
game
saying
of
is,
infinite angles.
Yeah, if he'd have gone quite far forward, 90, and then come in at a very sharp angle just to tap the corner.
He's got to avoid his own whites, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the units are, like, they had the tape measure out last time, are exactly flush.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he would have had to have a bit of it.
He possibly could have done it.
I'm gonna do a bit of research here. One moment. I'll be back.
Go back into the recording.
No, I have for an article I'm working on, I have a PowerPoint set up with unit footprints for everything. And I can go into UB because I think it's possible, but the units are still where they are, the Ezekiel's units, so I can screenshot that and put stuff over the top of them. And
I think Thomas, you're right. I think of how you said it. I'm not sure that's how they did it, but I think it could be done.
All right, so we're moving into combat.
Yeah, 2 damage onto the now uninspired better dressed rabble in the top left. 11. Don't think that's quite a waiver, is it? I think.
No.
Oh, Paradise.
Oh yeah, because they're 11-14, right? I think they've got
Oh, they've got the wider gap.
the wide gap. Yeah.
So they're actually worse rabble. Right. Can the gold gas kill it? 7 damage. Yeah, you can. Oh, yes, inspired. Very inspiring. Oh, no. Yeah. So I think he needs to overrun here, otherwise he's in charge range of the general. Oh. I think
But, what about the captain?
the captain and it looks like the general might just be in as well.
Oh, especially if you back up.
Yep, definitely. Oh, no. Yeah, he's just out. So yeah, just got out of range.
Oh my god, you guys are losing so hard.
So taking out a Warrengen's helpful. It's just less odds every time, isn't it, of getting killed. 13 damage. Yeah.
Yep.
And don't think it's inspired. Nope.
I just like it to sound like it's bad.
So 1 down.
One down, 10 to go.
Yeah. I think the problem with double charging on the hill is that you've now made it so that stuff can charge the Revenant Cavalry and you can just shoot at the Soul Reavers. You don't even need to. You can still block them by charging the Revenant Cav, so they're not doing much else, but then you can just shoot at them with all of you.
It's also going to be hard not to give something a flank, I think. I think it might get tricky depending on
It's
how.
going to be impossible not to give something a flank there, yeah.
Yeah, like when you reposition from after combat, if
Yeah.
you don't move at all, you've given a flank to the horde. I'm pretty sure.
Looks like it.
Yeah, and then if you move the wrong way, then you're going to give it to something else.
Yeah. So yeah.
And it gets tricky when you have that, base to base contact.
So unsurprisingly, it's killed the regiment. But as you say, what do you do now?
Yeah, where do you go?
You can't even safely sidestep, because if you go too far, then you open up the flank of the Soul Reaver Cavalry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he has sidestepped. So 2 inches is wider than 50 mil. So that general can currently fit into the flank there.
And if he decides to side, yeah, what's he going to do with?
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, now he's like, what am I going to do with the...
So the general has a flank on the Soul Reavers, which I think is worth it at this stage.
Yeah, but I think
I
also...
can see them now, though. Wouldn't the Revenant Cav on the hill be taller?
Because they're the same height, aren't they?
Mhm.
So potentially not now, yeah, because they're height 5.
Is the Revenant Cav 50% on the hill? It looks like it.
I think it looks like it, yeah. Yeah, I think by angling that way to bring the left corner out, I think he has a block line of sight. He's, I don't know, hasn't even given a flank to do it. Yeah.
So that's Rev Cav gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because a flank and a front on them and they're out.
yeah, definitely.
But
And I mean, he's still, because everything in the bottom corner is not anywhere near touching into the forest, he has quite a bit of safety in like setting up for flanks against that Soul Reavers as well, without having to worry about the bottom coming up to...
he doesn't have time though. Is my guess. Like, I think what Lewis is doing here.
So just jumps onto. Sorry, go on.
I think what he's doing here, which could be good, we'll see what happens. If you get a hot roll with the artillery, this all falls apart for Lewis. But if he's in a position where he gives up the whites, gives up the Revenant Cav this turn, then it's sort of a question of like nothing's there to kill the Soul Reavers. Turn 4, Soul Reavers kills something else. Turn 5, he finally gets to sort of surround them and start killing them, but still no one has gone in with overwhelming force into that back corner. So he's still going to be holding 4 tokens, and Ezekiel's trying on turn 6 to charge for to break that up. So we'll see.
It's interesting that he's going in one at a time here. So it's going to be one on one by the look of it. Potentially 2 on the.
I think the Rev Cav gets something in the flank.
Yeah.
It's just the thing that scares me is there's still no one holding those back tokens for Ezekiel.
And this is the problem now, is that he's now going to have to use these fanatics to either back up or. Well, I think at this stage he's already committed that he's not going for them, and he's going to have to just win by overwhelming these bottom tokens.
Yeah. Or you end up having to take your general wing beats completely out of the fight and go claim those objectives with them, which is like
That's okay, like last turn.
Yeah, but it's not like you don't want them sitting there for 3 turns.
So
like that's a lot of points invested in sitting around doing fuck all.
So that's the Pathfinder Berserkers that have just charged to the trees. But again, it's the front.
He's trying to get a double.
I think he's just figuring out the angles.
He's trying to get a double with that second Berserker unit.
Yeah, I don't see it, because I think if you can't move the horde, I think, because if you did, they would block the one that's already in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they are blocking the horde from moving.
Yeah, so a double with both of them too. There we go. So General's going in by the look of it.
And I did a battlefield recreation of the charge of the Soul Reaver double charge, and following Thomas's advice, there's just enough room to make it.
Which I'm sure is what they did. We're very aware of it.
But if you come in at that angle, if you come in at that really sharp angle, you can barely contact that front corner, avoiding your own whites, and you have maybe 15 millimeter or so to spare between you and the other cavalry regiment touching them. So it's a tight angle, but can make it.
Yeah. So he's doubled up. I wonder if he triples up with the general as well.
I kind of like it, because then
I do.
You're coming in from another angle, but also it gives something for those Soul Reavers to worry about.
Yeah.
But like, I
don't like that.
No,
why would you put them in Soul Reaver range?
Fuck yeah, they're gonna get meat ground.
Yeah. For no benefit, really. For no. I suppose I like it more now he's done that, because you're expecting to blow that up and turn around.
And then it's like, sure, you take that charge, but then everything's going to collapse on you.
You're almost daring the Soul Reavers to do it and fluff the rolls and not kill them.
I just feel like there's a lot of people fighting not on the objectives they need to hold.
Yeah. I mean, do these two here, do they have to just back away now?
But that one on the one that's like the topmost one could just sidestep if needed and be within 3.
Yeah.
And sure. I wish 1 turn ago he had just pulled the militia back, this far one that is now in the woods, just turned them around and gone straight back for that token. They're not going to do much in this fight.
So just an update on the clocks because you can't all see them. So Lewis is on 33 minutes. Ezekiel's currently on 42. But obviously it is the middle of his turn.
We're in 3, right? Bottom of 3?
Yes, bottom of 3.
Perfect.
Bottom of 3 with well more than half the time gone for both of them.
Oh, look at that. The Berserkers are going to charge the goal.
Good to see you.
They're in arc.
Yeah.
They are in range with a wild charge move. Did he roll his wild charge? Do they have wild charge? No. Wait.
No. Oh,
They
do they?
do.
Yeah, they do.
Charge.
They
I haven't
do.
seen the roll.
But I've not seen a roll. But
Alter G. But are they 11 away? Or are they 12? Like, because if they're just 11 away, then it's like you don't need to roll it. You know you have an 11. It's wild charge D3.
that's a shame for Lewis to lose that tool there.
So that weird Berserker move to the left there was actually brilliant.
Yeah, as it turns out. And I wonder actually if he was kind of aware of that he was placing it so it was an arc of where his war engine was.
I think he was partially because he moved the general to cover a bunch of the other spots. So if the ghoul had tried to go towards the general and winged beast, he was covered. If he tried to go somewhere else, the captain had him. So he had a lot of that ghoul spots covered. So you try and kill him, and then you turn and take that back objective, I guess, because you're mostly out of this fight.
Because you're safe there effectively. But I think that's a good trade, I think, there, to protect your war engines from the entire game and then turn around and grab a token is a perfectly good use of a regiment of fanatics.
Yep.
So yeah, it looks as if he's just going to sit himself in a position where he can make advancing more difficult. And as you say, potentially even go back and contest a token later on.
So now I'm completely invested emotionally in this game, and I'm gonna have to duck out of here soon to go to work.
You could just not go to work.
I feel like part of me is like, I should have called in sick at noon when we started this and been like, sorry. Just don't watch YouTube.
Yeah, just watch it on your phone.
Yeah, can't you just dial in?
Alan, hop on StreamYard while I'm walking to work.
Yeah.
That's safe. Actually, I probably could. Everyone can just get like a nice background of Montreal scenery while I walk.
Yeah.
That won't be a problem at all with the wind and the noise.
No.
Yeah, not at all.
No,
I don't live in a really windy neighborhood either. There's definitely not going to be any gusts. And no one will probably yell at me for any reasons at all.
So I suppose the only saving grace for Lewis's turn is that doesn't there be any shooting against him?
It is a classic anti-artillery move, which is you can't shoot me if I'm fighting all of your stuff.
Yeah. Which can actually be a really valuable tactic sometimes, but I think in this one the combats are also in Ezekiel's favor. This is the really fantastic thing about all these fanatic regiments is that you're not fighting trash. You're fighting,
Yeah, but he's not going to pick up those whites, probably.
No.
Right? He's not going to pick up the Soul Reavers, probably. All he's getting is the Revenants. Soul Reavers will blow up what's facing them.
The white
Whites
shouldn't.
shouldn't.
Not when rallied, inspiring, and fearless. Even if they did
And then
999 damage, they still shouldn't do it.
It's just you're going to be looking at Ezekiel end of turn 5, trying, maybe having everything cleared out on that hill and having 2 turns to take those back 2 tokens.
Yeah. But you've still got the general on-wing beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's...
Because what I basically see them just doing is the Rev Cav moves up slightly and pivots, and the Soul Reavers just shift over and say, come get some. and hope they can survive, which with hindered charges coming from basically everything that direction, they very much could.
Yeah.
So it seems sketchy for both sides. It's very potentially gonna be on a knife's edge here.
It is. It's also potentially a draw.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ray. I love you, Ray, but I don't want to see you jump over these players.
But also, go Canada. Now, where's my hat?
I got told off last round for choosing Northern Kings over the Union Jack. But I didn't get the memo. I had to go with what was to hand.
Well, you're Yorkshire first, UK second, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't have a Yorkshire flag either.
Is that better? Part of me is like a little concerned that I have so much of this stuff, but that's okay.
Well, I'm just concerned at how easy to hand that was. Just have it within arm's reach of your desk at any one time.
Like she didn't have to look at all. It was
that was muscle memory. Was that?
Yeah, it's also still out from when I got all decked out from the last match. Mark Campbell's game and call to arms.
I'm not sure I like the movement with the cannons there. You've actually given yourself less of an angle down that little narrow alleyway on the right. I would have liked one of the cannons just to have turned and moved that way, just to narrow even more that sort of gap of safety behind the trees.
Yeah. I think they're lining up to put shots on that far objective, hopefully. But I don't know that they've done a good job of that either. You're muted, Elliot.
No, I meant to be muted this time.
There you go.
I'm talking to somebody behind the screen.
I thought you were coming up with some really brilliant tactical analysis.
Oh, I was at the same time. It was more about we're hungry.
It's okay.
It's okay. Ashley can reach fancy dress. I can reach my oven.
You can find your snacks. That's what happens when you go in you're in your kitchen. No, Matt James, there will be no Quebec flag or hat. I am not from Quebec. I am Canadian first.
So that was the Google guest gone.
Yeah, it's wasn't unexpected, but it's quite an
I think
unfortunate piece to lose.
Yeah, it's a resource gone, which would have been great to have back there.
I mean, I think actually the war engines are going to be less of an impact on the game now. They did their job beautifully for the first few turns. They just completely dictated the flow of play. Decided exactly how Lewis had to hold back and where he had to hide. And it's not that they're irrelevant now, because they're definitely not. But I don't think they're going to be what wins the game now.
No, and yeah, what they did is they basically pinned Lewis into a corner that Ezekiel could predictably point his big inflexible wall of meat towards and just go at them. There wasn't a lot of tricky stuff he could do because anyone who poked his head out or tried to play around this sort of impassable in the middle got dunked on. So he pinned them into a corner with shooting, suppressing fire, and then is now
he's managed to do 5 damage to himself so far with his Blood of the Old King. Oh God. For not a lot of damage. So he's done more to himself.
Oof.
So actually, that's a big deal now because that means that they should
Whites can pick them up in one.
Now that's not good actually because when I was kind of in my head thinking how will that play out, I was kind of counting on that regiment still being there.
I don't think you should have popped it.
I don't at all. I think surviving was more important there. You were never going to kill them, even with Elite and Vicious. Pop it next turn when you're already damaged.
Yeah, I always love Blood of the Old King as like, well, I'm going down anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like where you pop it. I don't really like the item in general because of that, but I feel like now when surviving is so critical.
It's amazing on Trident Realm.
Night and Snares or Worm Riders is quite good.
Worm Riders, yeah. Where they use it to blow up a unit and then they just regen it all back by the time they're fighting again.
So long as there's nothing around to look at them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What?
So Soul Rivers have died.
Oh my God. Now how am I supposed to go to work now?
So these were the elite ones. So with the elite, they got 14 out of 15 hits. And then the Bane Chanted, so did 13 out of 14 damage.
That'll do.
That'll do it.
So I will say early on, when you're banking on all of your units having 15, 17 nerve, like bad things can happen. But elite Bane Chanted, and that is something really nice about these Fanatics units and the Bane Chant that's kicking around with Conjurer's Staff. It's a pretty good chance you're going to get it off. The unit you need to do well gets the Bane Chant and Crushing Strength too. He can pick each turn who that unit is out of the 5 that needs it. So,
well then,
that was still way above our damage.
That's huge.
Yeah, that was a little bit over odds, but just a little.
We're like, oh, he's definitely screwed there. Just kidding.
Well, the other thing is he took a big move forward, which suddenly he's threatening.
Yeah.
The backline units.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just real good.
Well, that was sexy.
I mean, I will say that there's that whole sort of thing about you take a bunch of units and you make people make difficult choices. There's also the chance where you take a bunch of units and it gives you the opportunity to spike dice rolls.
Well, exactly. You can't roll well if you're not rolling dice.
If you have 5 combats in a turn, you have a better chance of some of those going up.
That was always the kind of the painful thing about Adam Padley's flea bags was that most of the time they do 1 maybe 2 damage, but because you were just throwing so many shots out, there was always that one turn where one would do 6 damage from 12 shots. And you're throwing so many dice that eventually it will spike. So obviously the Revenants went, but that was far more expected. Not sure I like turning the Horde there. I'm not really. I suppose he's expecting to. He's now expecting the Whites to kill him, isn't he?
Yeah. He is now expecting those Whites to do terrible things. For the understatement of the century.
Do we think it changes things? I know it was a big loss, but wouldn't they have died next turn anyway?
They would have taken something out.
With them. They would have gone down swinging. They would have taken something out too.
Is it game changing or is it just unfortunate?
I think it's anyways, I want to say my thoughts, but I'm gonna go to work, and if it's quiet outside, maybe I'll come in remotely. But anyways, good luck to both these guys. And
thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
Did you have something, Thomas? Or
I was going to say, if not game changing, it certainly puts Lewis in a much more difficult situation than it was before. I think maybe before it was very precarious, and now it's hopeless. But
so a couple things. One, I think it's bad. I think getting that Fnatic unit into the backfield and threatening this little castle in the corner is big. I think if they had held and the whites held like that, and the damage was from the blood of the old king was here, I think Lewis had a much better position. So the fact that the whites barely took any damage and are going to kill their opposing unit probably, I think if that happened, then you had whites and soul reavers turn towards the inside facing his units, and I think he's not in nearly as bad a shape to try and hold out and win, especially with these revenants trying to come in and be relevant.
I do love up here that the soul reavers revenants and vampire just can give up. And it doesn't matter the individual, but give up flanks to that general. I just not care because of the amount of hindered and the amount of nerve and soul reavers next to them to finish them off.
Yeah, this is that case where you're like, hey, I'm in this great tactical position to prevent them from crossing this area, and they go, YOLO, we don't care.
Yeah,
like
bring it.
Bring it, and we'll take that piece off. And he's actually probably way more useful turning and going after objectives or something else.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm not sure what you. Yeah, so go for the charge. I think you have to there, don't you? Yeah, you're charging it.
Oof.
There's just a lot of things looking at you there. But what do you do otherwise? Otherwise, you get charged.
That's fine. They're not going to kill you.
No, it's true.
And the thing for me is that you're off the tokens. Now no one is holding those tokens.
Yeah.
True. And that general can just hop behind and land on one.
Yeah.
Or does the general have line of sight to that individual? Can you go in and bounce on a necromancer's head?
Doesn't look it.
Okay.
I can't draw a line on here without them seeing
cheating. I can figure this out.
Yeah. I would imagine not. There you go. I've got a cocktail stick on my screen. No, it doesn't.
Are you doing the cocktail stick method?
Yep.
Okay.
Cocktail stick on the screen method.
Okay, we're all done. Thank you. We're all done with that.
Sorry, I'm just sorting my dinner out while hosting a live stream.
Yeah. This is what happens.
Awkward time differences.
it just gets worse every second.
Yeah.
I'm just it's weird. I don't like either of the sides' positions.
I definitely prefer Ezekiel's, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
I just think, but I know what you mean. All in a pure game of kill, I definitely prefer Ezekiel's. But to charge and get where you need to be, you're taking yourself off tokens again. But I just feel that Ezekiel's got the tools now to land on more tokens, to grab more ones at the end.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just being not proactive enough, and this Soul Reaver infantry is going to chew its way through 3 units to victory. But
it's
I liked it just hanging back, and like the militia charging out of a forest is going to do nothing.
And I'm just let's go back now, because I've just seen here as well that one berserker's got boosted striding, one's got pathfinder, so you'll be taking 2 fresh berserker charges. Yeah, you're right. Hang back, avoid it, go nowhere near it. But it's only top of 4.
I know it's sketchy. You're gonna have to survive a sketchy round turn 6 and hope for no 7. But
So Lewis is currently on 27 minutes on his clock. Ezekiel's actually on 28. So he had overtaken Lewis. So it looks like he has opted to hang back. Again, he isn't holding either of those tokens at the moment.
yeah,
Although, yeah, it looks like he might shuffle into... Yeah, shuffle up to range of one of them. Oh, no.
it's all sketchy. It's...
I mean, he's scrambling now, isn't he? But I'm not sure he's got the units left to do a whole lot.
Well, there's... I feel like this Vampire and these Revenant Cav have a part to play. And I almost feel like he should be setting up however he can to maximize that. Because the Revenant Cav right now are not in charge range of that Fnatic unit that they sort of need to be. But they will probably be next turn. Well,
or you can surge them. Okay, so yeah, but yeah, no shooting turn yet. But you've only got one surge, hasn't he, as a problem?
Well,
yes, too, yes.
When he moves them up 8, they might be in gun range.
That's true. Yeah, that would be a bit heartbreaking to finally arrive from the other side of the board and then just get blown straight off the board by cannons. I'll have a look for you. No, its leader point is off the hill, so it can't. The polearm horde can't see a whole lot at the minute, because helpfully individual models. So the leader point is between those two, so it can't actually see anything. Sorry if that was an answer to the question of. Is it actually a polearm horde as well now?
Is he surging?
Looks like.
Yep.
But he hasn't got into combat if he has yet. Yeah, so he's just... Oh no, he's got another one.
Yep, get in there.
Ground it, something, isn't it?
That was actually perfect for him because I think he... maybe they just now figured out that he was still hindered. But...
Yeah. Just going for it. See if we can do it.
You just throw as much as you can to muck that stuff up because.
So are we talking about actually walking to work or?
No, the Revenant Cap charge. I will say when I was walking around the streets of Montreal as a much younger person, a homeless guy walked up to me and said something in French. And I was like, oh, thank God I don't speak French. I can just blow this off and keep walking and not feel guilty. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't speak French. And then he says in perfect English, he's like, do you have any spare change? I'm like, that freaking homeless guy's bilingual. I've got nothing.
So the RevCav troop blew up the militia mob.
Yep.
And are now holding that token, which could actually, end up being quite big.
Yeah, right now they are maybe looking at a draw, having 3 tokens each and not having the bottom token. Because I think Ezekiel will get the 2 top right with the Berserkers and the General on the Winged Beast.
So the Whites haven't killed the regiment, which is a real shame for them. That would have been because as I said, the Whites probably couldn't have been seen because the leader point's not on the hill for that polearm horde. That would have opened up a real threat with a fly and a surge into things rear, maybe. As it is, not killing them is a certain death, effectively now. Well, actually, no, it's probably not, but it's still a shame.
Was that just a mistake, or did he not have the movement to get those pole arms onto the hill?
I think it might be a mistake because they maybe not, because it was a reform. It was a spin on the spot.
But they spun with the almost express intention of seeing them.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
And it's whether they spot that when it comes to it. So 2 damage, so he's grounded the general on 1 beast.
Yeah.
So yeah, going in, that should do nothing. Charge there onto the Soul Reavers, you would hope.
So now, can the Revenant Cav be relevant coming through the side? The Soul Reaver infantry basically just has to hold up and hold that objective. It's not going to play a relevant part. Oh, it's tight. Just trying to find a way to. So he's making sure that that's getting blown up. Then he's going to be staring down Soul Reaper infantry. Yeah, it's a bad spot. So he triple charged the Soul Reaver or the Revenant Cav that came out.
Because why not?
Which is it's not good. Because he's going to blow them up and then take those reforms to be pointing directly at the Soul Reaver infantry. And now he's trying to move this far left fanatics around. They're not going to clear the obstacle, it looks like. He's been noodling on this for a minute or so to try and find a way to get him around that obstacle. But
what's the distance to the token? Can I get there in 2 more turns?
It's 12 inches. So yes.
Yeah, I should be able to get there.
yeah, but he's trying to put a hurting on them Soul Reaver infantry first.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, so it looks as if they're just not spotted the leader point, not been on the hill.
Yeah, so he's coming in. Oh, maybe.
Question of, can you actually see? 30 people watching at once, though. How popular are we?
21 in the actual room. Just, I would have made it private. Get out of my game.
I wonder how many people have finished their games actually from Vanguard and have jumped into to watch the finale.
That's always one of my favorite. I love when the last game goes sort of last and you have all the other players have filtered over and
it's awful though. I agree with you. It's good, but it's awful having all that pressure. Everybody watching you.
I luckily in a GT I won had no idea because I was not on the top table. So and I got a big win last round and jumped some people for overall. So I had zero pressure. I had no idea I was even in contention at that point. And it was great. And I thought the TO was just being nice and checking on me a bunch. when he kept swinging by the table, but he was keeping an eye on it. It's entirely oblivious.
That's the best way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest GT I ever won, I was the ringer player, and I was playing in the last round against Adam Padley with his University Despised Goblin list.
Yep.
So I couldn't lose really, because if I lost, then I was the ringer. I wasn't supposed to win. But if I won, I'd beat Adam Padley's disgusting list. So there was zero pressure on me. It was wonderful.
The righteous, righteous victory.
So just an update on the clocks. So Lewis ended his turn on 22 minutes. Ezekiel's just coming up on 23. So they've got plenty of time to play the turns out. But
he's using it.
He's using it, and it's going to get to a point where you are going to start having to see quicker play. It's when you hit that 15-minute mark, don't you? Start to think, "Oh, actually, I've got a motor now."
Yeah, I hit that on turn 2. And then just play the rest of the game as fast as possible.
I have to remind myself to play my turns 1 and 2 quickly, because I'll thank myself by turn 5 and 6.
But this, I mean, it feels like with this triple charge into the Revenants, those Soul Reaver infantry are going to be staring down at 3 Berserker units, 2 of which with unhindered charges, 1 with a hindered charge.
Only 2 will be able to. Only one of the Berserkers will be able to see. Oh no, sorry, you're right. The hindered one as well. Yeah, so this one probably won't be able to see. But it's unlikely.
If the general sidesteps and it sidesteps,
true,
it might get the angle.
And there's not much reason not to do that.
If they all get good shuffle rolls, if that D3 is hot,
it could be a world of pain for those. I mean, I suppose the difference is, do the Soul Reavers die this turn or next? Is what that's coming down to, isn't it? Has the general moved yet?
On top?
Yeah.
I think he's moving it now.
Yeah, as we are.
Yeah. What did you do?
Yeah. I'm assuming he's not going to stay there.
I think that's overhang. Maybe that's got him in. He should be out of arc of them. Maybe not though.
No.
Oh no, that's not overhang. Don't land there.
No, don't do the thing.
I guess he's threatening the Revenant Cav's rear if they keep moving up.
There you go. Yeah, I think he's probably going to pivot. But then to do that, is he then?
Yes, he's in charge range of them. So he's trying to get in that spot that is out of theirs, but out of theirs, and he hasn't found it yet.
I don't think he can do it. So he's just out of charge range there. He's just out of 16. But he is in.
Okay.
There.
So sit out of charge range and out of arc, and you're good.
Yeah, Matt, you're completely right. It was also a Northern Kings event. Because Northern Kings like to win their own events.
That's why you hold them.
Yeah. That's why you win these helpful trophies that I've got. You can't see it on the camera. This is my trophy pint glass that we give out.
I did win a trophy at a Northern Kings event. It was for hobby though.
Yeah, you did. Well deserved.
Because my gameplay that tournament was abysmal.
It was jet lag, right?
So I will say I won my first round, drew my second, and then started losing. So that has the curve of jet lag. I was coherent in the first game, and then it all went downhill. So
he's still trying to find that sweet spot with the general.
It looks like he is. I think he's probably found it there. He's out of arc.
Toe in the forest, out of arc, and out of charge. Put all 3 together, and it eventually makes a move.
But do you just send the vampire in?
Yeah, he may have forgotten about the vampire.
I mean, I suppose by doing that, he's forcing the vampire to disengage from the middle again. I think it's probably a bit too little, too late for that vampire. He's not going to be taking scoring units off objectives now.
Yeah, the main thing is at least the way I'm looking at it is this berserker unit in the middle doesn't matter. The polearm horde doesn't matter.
No.
The relevant units are in this bottom corner.
Yeah.
And the vampire does not have a charge on any of them this turn. And I think by the time it gets over there, it's not picking any of those units up, and that's what it needs to do. It needed to be there one turn earlier to, start putting damage on stuff or blocking charges.
I think personally for me, I would be sending the general more just towards contesting that objective on the left and just dancing with those Soul Reavers.
Yeah, my side is like either you just fly them all the way over to your right so that you can secure those top 2 objectives, because no one's sitting on that one top right.
No.
Yeah.
Or you just hop them over the woods behind the Soul Reaver infantry out of arc of the Revenant Cav, because there's no surge on that flank, and just be a nuisance.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
here it comes. The Heartbreaker.
Oh, I'm not sure. Has he got? No, one of them doesn't have line of sight. Okay, good go for them instead then. Oh, that reach is horrific, isn't it?
Oof. There we go. If you pick up that infantry and then fly the general onto their token.
I think both of these players are going to struggle with time in the end, as it looks now, but we shall see. I mean, do you think they are so used to playing at UB with infinite time that they don't consider the clock?
Potentially, yeah. I don't think about it. So Ezekiel has 16 minutes left, and Lewis has 22. So still plenty of time for turn 4.
I mean, and that's where I get confused on UB time versus tabletop time. Like, if you have that much time left and it's a normal tournament, you're probably fine.
Yeah. I mean, they did start with 90 minutes each, with that included deployment. And they did use it all the way through deployment as well.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the time they have left compared to what they've used, they're in trouble. If I'm looking at the time they have left to complete a game of Kings of War, it should be no problem.
Should be loads, yeah. So 4 damage from shooting onto the... This is going to really hurt, isn't it? If this infantry regiment dies here, that really is game, isn't it?
Well, it's just so insulting for a unit of elite vampires to have just walked across the board and then got shot off.
Well, that's 1 hit, and they're not inspired. It's 3 damage. It's only going to be 1 spiky roll, isn't it? That's everything else shot. I don't know. They're fine. That's a hit, but I think it's that hit on. Oh no! Oh, was that nerve?
I think that was nerve.
They're safe, yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, no, stuff's.
No, it's going to go to combat, I think. So it's
yeah,
that must be nerve, yeah. Yeah, did a mighty one. I mean, what's helpful is at least they've got enough time on the clocks to. There's enough time on the round clock, so there's going to be no issue with dice down for round. They're going to both play their clocks out. Oh, that was a good roll. So 6 more damage there. That'll do it. And that'll do it again, I think. So,
Yeah, I mean, it still wasn't guaranteed on that nerve.
Yeah, wasn't.
Did you forget to roll the captain there?
Yeah, I think he did.
Or
As it was. Didn't matter.
no. I think another problem for Louis here is that he can just move that captain up to block their own cav.
Yes, and I'm guessing his mighties are the captain.
Are you asking if El Capitan is mighty?
I am.
He is. He gets all the rules.
Of course, yeah. He looks
Master
mighty.
tactician,
Look at
mighty, rallying, very inspiring.
Yeah.
Leading from the front. Doesn't even bother rolling his attacks. He's so confident in his nerve.
Yeah.
That's one of those you miss that nerve roll and you're like, oh wait, I forgot the captain. Can
Yeah.
I
Please. So this is, I'm assuming, some quite dead.
Yeah, you would hope from the flank.
6 damage from the flank. It's not crazy. But 11 more hits.
Did
More
someone
damage
get
in
a
front.
Bane chant?
7. Bane Champ was on the regiment that just killed the whites.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, these are dead now. Should be dead, yeah. Another 3.
Just have
So-
to avoid the dreaded double one.
So Ezekiel's down to 12 minutes. He's going to have to get his ducks in order for his last couple of turns just to make sure he's...
I hope this last turn should be mostly autopilot. We'll see what
Yeah.
he does here. But I'm expecting the flanking berserkers to pivot basically 90. Okay, that should be them.
Yeah, nothing as bad, yeah.
Pivot the flanking ones basically 90 and then sidestep the other 2 to try and get clear of them for
Yeah.
a potential triple charge. And then back at this point, you start backing the polearm block up. And then next turn, pivot them so that they're taking that center objective.
Yeah.
Yep, sidestep there. That's a good one. Oh no, he didn't roll for it. I think he forgot that you don't just get to.
Or is he just checking maybe? See what?
I guess he's just checking.
Yeah, there we are.
So that's a 2-inch sidestep.
Mm-hmm.
If they get a 2-inch, they should be totally clear and see.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to really hurt.
Yeah, that's what you were trying to avoid is a double or triple charge, especially from these folks that can pop boots and use Pathfinder.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like there's any kind of corkscrew kind of shenanigans that the Tory Infantry can do to get away. So going into top of turn 5.
I don't think they have this, but can they? I don't know that this wins you anything because you're abandoning tokens, but do they have a charge on the general on Wing Beast?
No, he's out of arc. I just checked that.
Okay.
I was wondering that one myself because they probably
Even when he backs up?
Oh, maybe. Might cut that back corner. But even then, it would be a really, very steep angle.
Yeah, it'd be a funny YOLO charge.
To infantry, it's kind of like you can't see my mouse, can you? Anyway, I'm pointing the line up.
But could he, if he kills the rabble and then sidesteps 3 inches to the right, how would that put him? Would he be out of woods and out of sight from the wounded berserkers and also out of range of the berserkers on the pets?
He would. I mean, he'd put himself. He'd probably only mean, that would mean that you're only getting 1 charge from the berserkers, but it would mean it'd be a flank from the general.
I guess.
You're probably best to turn and just pray at that stage.
It's a bad prey.
It is. I mean,
Because
you can't get 3 in the front, can you? Because isn't it? Would it be corner to corner?
You can't get 3 in the front. But
So you just get 30 attacks at melee 3, crushing 1.
yeah, and one of those will be crushing 2
Yeah.
from the Bane Chant, and you will be taking when you kill 1 on the crackback, if you do survive, you get 2 more again in the next turn.
Yeah.
So it's essentially 60.
It's not ideal. So Lewis has got a bit of extra time here, and he's on 20 minutes. And you might as well use it. Have a think and a look and see what if anything you can do. So obviously, with it being modified Northern Kings, it's always worth points for holding objectives. So there's no reason not to try and hold what you can. So just thinking about this, Ezekiel, I don't know what happened on table 2, but he was only a point ahead of whoever was 3rd. So he needs a big win to guarantee him the tournament. I don't know, Mike, if you're listening, if you know what the results was from table 2, if we know yet.
Oh, he's listening. He just put in the chat.
Yeah. Well, he could be rudely doing TO stuff at the same time, rather than concentrating entirely on us ramble. So the Soul Reavers have backed up. Not taking themselves entirely out of range of all of them, but at least, yeah, it's only 1 now. At least they're going to get hit with.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that was a small mistake from Lewis. He didn't need to be that far forward.
No, and it's very easy to miss that, isn't it? Because all the way through, these 2 flanks have been sort of 2 disparate battlefields. It's easy to forget that actually those War Rangers can just reach out right away across the board and hit you.
But he'll have new targets. The Revenants.
Yeah,
the Revenant
the Revenants
Cav
are finally here.
Putting themselves into that one window of shooting around the hill.
It's arrived, and it's probably going to get murdered. In fact, are they also in? Oh yeah. Okay, well, we're now at a stage of just throwing vampires as chaff, but
Wow.
Why not? Effectively here.
Now we're at the screw you in particular.
I think that's a good move. Now the captain can't block the Revenants, and I think maybe the Berserkers had range to the Rev Cav in flank as well.
Yeah, no, I like it. I suppose it's the what are those Rev Cav really going to do now? This is one of those few opportunities where the shambling on them really is going to impact on them, because they're not going to be contesting tokens.
This is top of 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Bottom of 5? Top of 5. Yeah, they're just not with the marker.
It is top of 5, I think. Yeah. Louis started.
Put down for a while now. In fact, they've moved the cannons now, so we can leave it on. I don't see a magical winning strategy for Lewis here. I'd like to say that I did. But I don't. Thank you very much. Look at that. Look, having my dinner delivered to me. So, on to shooting. Surge! Getting a bit more into the fight. I mean, it was a good surge, but I'm still not convinced what it is they're going to do. Although, actually, it looks like those berserkers can't. Well, they can charge, can't they? That's the problem.
At least they are inspired now.
That's true. Yeah. Not sure what this is. Combat. Is he? Oh, is he a duelist? Or the Vampire Lord? So no. I'm guessing 12's fine. Not sure what his nerve is, but so still playing. Cool. So they're still playing on table 3. But if it's a big win there, then third place could jump across. So assuming that Ezekiel wins this, and we think he probably does at this stage, what kind of points could is he looking for? He's got the 1 in the topper, hasn't he? So yeah. So Reavers absolutely minced the militia as expected. Oh, he's just checking the side step out. I'm not sure I like the side step. Having to give him a flank really sucks.
I guess it's just checking the options again.
Yeah, that 15-17 nerve gives you so little to play around with.
Yeah.
Like you if you're a horde, if you have sort of horde nerve, you can take a general to the flank and just say it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's only going to do so much, but 15-17, 1 general to the flank and a front charge, and you're
Don't get me wrong.
broken.
I'm delighted about that because that's probably the only in inverted commas weakness about Soul Reavers. And it's still elite nerve. So we are back into Ezekiel. So Ezekiel's got 9 minutes and 50 seconds to do his last 2 turns. Lewis is on 13 minutes. So it's got to be quick here, or his turn 6 is going to have to be very fast. But as you said, his turn 6 should hopefully be a bit autopilot by that stage. But he is going to have to think about this. Now, has he got... No, he's definitely in range there. So. I think he has to charge those now, doesn't he, surely? Otherwise, he's going to get recharged by the Revcav.
Yeah, I suppose you could put the general in the way.
But if he's wanting that big win, I would be very tempted to throw that general and score the objective up near the cannons.
Yeah.
You want every token you can get now, don't you? Because it looks as if he's going to back up these ones to capture the one just above them. Yeah, I will be flying him over here.
I vote polearm block backs up to get off the hill. And turn 6 pivots to take that token.
But surely these guys can back up easier, can't they? I just wonder if you have pole arms stay there just to keep the rev cav honest.
Yep, sure. And then the general on the top should just 20 inches straight towards where the berserkers are on the top, and then the final turn jump on that top right token. Right?
Yeah.
So you have those two covered, you have the one in the middle right covered, you win this combat and get someone over to that bottom right, and then your general, you use stuff to shield him and he tries to take that bottom token. So yeah, you need the polearm block to move forward aggressively and try and stop that rev cow.
Whatever you do it quickly. And then you've got 9 minutes. Oh no, 7.5 minutes left. So, is there a penalty for timing out in this one, or is it just dice down?
I believe it's just dice down and shame.
Yeah, shame, definitely shame. So let's back them up. Yeah, it's just checking that next turn he can definitely back on. Yeah, so bats up to there.
So with that, I say you turn that back fanatics unit.
Yeah.
And start covering that bottom token.
Yeah,
so
there's no reason not to. There's no reason to double up there, is there?
If the rev cav don't take it,
yeah, it's yours. Yeah,
cover a charge on the soul reavers and the revenants where they're eventually going to want to be, and you're in good shape.
Yeah, so it's just. I think he's moving there just so turn 6 will put him at the right angle to fly straight onto the one near the cannons.
Oh, I don't like it.
I don't disagree with that. I'm not sure he's needed so much anymore.
Because the general in the top left can cross the board to get it, right?
But he did go second, so do you not just risk the charge from the Soul Reavers and be? I suppose you don't really gain anything from contesting that one, do you? Other than just being a pain.
Yeah, I don't know Northern King scoring as well as you. Does he get anything for contesting?
No, you don't get anything, and you don't sort of gain anything from taking anything away from your opponent. That's kind of the point.
So for me, you give up on those up there and go find one you can take.
So this is bench jump and shooting. So he's sticking with it. I mean, we are at the stage now where the clock will be coming into their thinking as well. That but 5 minutes left. 5 minutes and 1 second.
The secret should have been the clock should have come into there thinking half an hour ago.
Well, that's it. But I like this. This is much better play when tournament I really like that last second panic.
Yeah.
It's a much better way of playing tournaments rather than dragging everything out, military precise. Oh,
I think he neglected to shoot with his cannons on the Revenant cab.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no damage. So yeah, just did. I'm confused. Did he roll the nerve? I don't think he did.
He did. He rolled 6.
But then he seemed to roll more attacks.
That he moved on to the next combat.
Ah, I see.
He's moved on to beating up on the vampire.
Yeah, double one.
The 7d6 was the something? The
captain, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, double one by the look of it, so it doesn't actually matter.
But he did not do much to the Soul Reaver.
No, not at all. And the Soul Reaver is still holding that objective.
Yes.
Right, so that's turn. He's flipped his clock over. So he's given himself 4 minutes for his turn 6.
God, he should have shot.
Yeah.
Or no, he didn't have anything to shoot. Sorry.
Yeah, he could shoot with the Revenant cab, I think. From where
they're behind the hill now. They surged. Right?
I think he had a shot before, but I can't say for sure.
Cool. So it's just dice down, so there's no issue with timing out. I prefer that.
I personally love that. I think when you're on the clock, if you run out, the only penalty should be that you stop playing.
It's a big enough issue. I was playing a game against Dan King a few weeks ago, where I beat myself. Where in turn 5, Dan physically couldn't win. Apart from the fact all I had to do was move one model into one scoring area of control, and I won the game, and he couldn't win. But I'd timed out and had to sit there and watch as Dan tore me apart while doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It was that was punishment enough in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I've timed out once as well. I almost had a game, and then suddenly the clock ran out, and I didn't get to roll my combats, and then it turned. So yeah, it's indeed enough of punishment. Wasn't it before like you lost your entire army and stuff?
In the
original,
yeah,
the original timeout is you just lose the game.
Yeah,
you're done.
I'm not sure how often that was used, but it was that was definitely in the rule book.
Yeah, I guess everyone just had a gentleman agreement that they would automatically pause at the last second.
Yeah.
I was in a tournament where they had not put anything different in the pack. And it was a local tournament. It wasn't like a large GT, but we went to the TO and said, what happens when someone times out? And he went, oh, I'm not sure. Let me check the rules. And then he opened the book and was like, oh, I guess you lose. And it was like, oh, I wish you had thought about this in advance and made a decision. Because my opponent was just sort of like, oh, I lose? Oh. And I'm like, we get back to the table and I'm like, just do dice down. It's fine. Like, ignore. But
as you say, you just have an agreement that you turn your clock off with half a second to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
with Lewis taking less damage there,
yep.
Does he have a chance?
The assumption is he deletes one of these berserkers, and the back berserker comes in and takes their place and does the same thing again. So one of those units has
one has Pathfinder.
Yeah,
that one
so
has
you killed it.
Strider. That one's got elite.
So he's going after the elite one. I kind of think Pathfinder might have been also one you go after, actually.
Yeah, because now he's pulling himself off the objective.
Yeah.
I was thinking also just because if you kill the one with Pathfinder, the elite one isn't countercharging. It gets hindered again. It is hitting on 4s with 15 attacks, which is way better for you. So.
Yeah, that's the usual penalties, isn't it? It's -1 tournament point for clocking. I think I'm alone in the Northern Kings of not liking any kind of penalty for clocking out.
Are you the slowest player?
No, actually, weirdly. But I suppose, yeah, the three of them just it's they think you can put yourself in a position where it doesn't matter if you clock out, and that doesn't feel right, which I can understand to some degrees, but yeah, not for me personally.
Yeah, I don't see no reason to be penalized for it other than you have to see your opponent destroy your army.
Yeah.
I guess there should be a penalty if the players delivers the scores to the TO too late. Apart from that.
Oh yeah, as a TO, I love clocks, and feel that it should be a good flogging if you deliver scores wrong. Never mind a penalty. So clocks currently, it's Lewis has 7 minutes 50 seconds left. Ezekiel, when his turn starts, he'll have 4 minutes left. for his turn 6.
That's tight.
It is tight, and he's going to need that more than I thought he would actually in turn 6. I assumed those Soul Reavers would have died.
I didn't think they would have died, but like they're only going to be at 4 damage once they do their work. I was hoping he would put a little more on them, so that I thought it would take 2, but I thought now it's not even a guaranteed 2. I mean, he has to fluff again pretty hard.
Is there a risk of a draw here? Well, no.
That general on Wing Beast is turned right around the whole wrong way.
Well, maybe not now, actually, though, because now it can contest. The one on the left can contest the Revenant Troop, preventing the draw. The one on the right can fly up to the top token. And then the pole arms can back up. So actually, there is no risk of a draw, is there?
No.
It's still a win.
He just needs a big win.
Yeah, potentially. We don't know what's happened on table 2 yet. But a big win would guarantee him the tournament.
And here comes the Revenant Cav with their world tour, starting on the far left of the building, coming all the way up around.
I've got another surge, is he? Or is that both of them already?
So looking at the table here, Ray Shields has 110 points, which means Ezekiel needs 21 to equal and 22 to pass him.
So, can he get that? He hasn't killed a whole lot, has he? Yeah, he's killed a fair whack, but he's not going to be in big points for kills. What we don't know, of course, is what his virtually Vanguard sneaky bonus points are.
Yeah, that's correct. And then that we don't know for either player, right?
So there's a potential 2 points that Ezekiel either has or hasn't got that we just don't know about.
Do you know if that's calculated already for Ray Shields for the game?
I would imagine so, yeah, if it's put them on there. Oh, another double one. So it doesn't really matter, but the Vampire Lord has double one to the regiment that is fighting up there. I don't think it changes anything for the outcome of the game, but it's always sad.
Well, it might be that now Ezekiel will pick up that Vampire Lord and get the kill points he needs for that one tournament point.
So, we're on to Ezekiel's turn. He's going to have to be quick about this. He's got 3 minutes and 25 seconds at the moment. So he's going to have to pick his charges carefully. So backed up, flown onto the objective. I think he's looking here whether he even bothers to charge, or does he just move forward?
I think turn 7, like you charge, right?
Well, is he going to have a turn 7? He's now on 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So he's not going to have much of a turn 7.
Oh my gosh. It's giving me anxiety.
Great jump. Looks like is he going to bother with the cannons? I'm going to guess not. Nope. 13 hits, 8 damage. That should do it, I think. Should it with the 4 already on them? Frantically doing maths fast I can now. Yeah, pops them. And the overrun.
Did he even move that other unit forward, though?
I don't know what he did.
I think they moved to the side, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because I guess they were maybe if they were touching corner to corner to the vampires, they could move forward.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's turned.
In case of a turn 7 Revenant Cav charge.
Yeah. So he's given up that objective effectively by doing that. Unless there is a turn 7. So this is on the Vampire Lord. Oh, another double. That's the third double in a row in that combat. Once on the Vampire Lord, then again on the Regiment, and then now again on the Vampire Lord.
Just a pillow fight over there, or
Yep.
Nobody wants to give in.
Was
That's
it 3
a roll for 7.
I beat them. So that's game.
That's game.
So I don't have a banner. But Ezekiel wins.
Is it a big enough win though? 1, 2, 3 tokens against 2, or 1 because it's contested.
Yeah, so it's 15. So it's going to be very close. 15 for the win. 23 points for ratio.
We're gonna have to figure out what his secret objectives were.
Yeah.
It's 21 points up to Ray Shields so far. It looks like he's going to beat him on attrition, though.
So yes, he has his. So
That should
good.
do it. Then.
Good tip it. Right. Well, I've no idea. I can't tell you what's happened now. We've got to sit and wait while they do maths. So, in the miracle of hindsight, how do we think both players played that? Knowing the matchups and knowing how that came down in the end. Do you think they picked the right objectives to go for? Or was it... We all...
Yeah. I think Luis always was on the back foot here because of the artillery. And the fact that all his stuff is higher than the infantry, so they can see him all over the place.
Yeah, but if we know he's won, we want to know what the score was. Want to know how he's done. Sorry, everybody. I know this is riveting YouTube watching, but we're just now sat watching them figure out maths as they go along. No, I agree. I think he was always going to struggle there. He has a lot of very killer units. Yeah, he a lot of units, but there were maximum nerve in the entire army was 17, and that puts you in cannon range every single time. If all.
Yeah, the interesting thing though is that those back 2 objectives didn't end up being claimed by anyone.
No.
Yeah.
And it was a turn 6 single charge that ended up taking up the Soul Reavers. Like after all of that, it was down to a Bane Enchanted Berserker unit to take them. And the Revenants were an inch or so out from sweeping around the entire board and still getting to that back objective. Geez.
Yeah.
If those Revenants had just right turned first turn and gone around the back of the house, this might have been a win.
Yeah, I did wonder if it was just like overcommittal on the left, and probably quite a skillful use of the captain and the extra drops there to sort of feign that left hand side to really, pulled a lot of points over, didn't it? You know, Soul Reaver Infantry, Revenant Cavalry, Revenant Troop, and a Vampire, all just to face down, you know, 1 token.
Yeah, and they only got 1 out of 2 tokens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a very large points investment for 1 token.
Yeah.
That any single one of those other units in that back right-hand corner might have given him 1 to 2 tokens in that back corner. I still think the play for Lewis was hold the bottom right and the top left, and that's 4 and wins it. It just couldn't make it happen.
I'm sorry. I just want to get the final score, and then we can.
I hate to ever actually advocate for this, but castling behind that forest might have been the way to go.
Yeah, quite possibly actually.
You don't want it to be.
No. So
I remember one
Ezekiel's
game
got
back
a
in
3-point win, and he was 1 point behind. So he needs 23. Ezekiel
23 to win, 22
22.
to.
So it's a draw, so it's
tie.
going to come down to kill points. And I won't spoil it for him now because I don't know myself. But I know that Mike is doing a results stream right after this.
I think 22 should be enough. It should put him on 111.
So is that a draw, or is it? I think I've got Mike saying here that Ray got 23 points on table 2, and I know that Ray was a point behind coming into this round. So I think they're on equal points. I think it's going to come down to kill points.
Oh, that's tight.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, very, very well played to both players. I'm going to leave this now because I know that Mike's going to want the results in, and then he's going to be doing a live stream results show. I've seen in the broadcast studio after this. So I would encourage everybody that's watched this to jump over there to see the awards. Massive thanks to Thomas and to Brinton, and thanks to Ashley, who had to leave us and refused to do a walking tour of her home city for us. Thanks for everybody for watching, and jump over to the results show when it's on. We'll see you all later. Bye.
Right.